thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Hallelujah. Almighty Father, we come before you ever so humbly today as the body of your Son, Yahshua HaMashiach, giving Torah and hosannas unto your Kodesh name for breathing the breath of life into us one more time, Father Yahweh. We told you for allowing us to be able to arise on this Shabbat day to give praise and honor unto your name. We told you for breathing that breath of life into us and for keeping us alive in the land among the living. We told you also for all of the things in which you've delivered us from, all of the hurt, harm, the danger, trials, tribulations, physical ailments, sicknesses, illnesses, and every other thing that Shaitan may have tried to use to deter us from keeping your commandments, from keeping your Shabbat, from obeying you, from doing your will. And we ask of you, Father Yahweh, that you please continually deliver us from all those things that Shaitan would try to send our way to subvert our salvation. We ask of you that you please, in these latter days, continually wrap us with legions of your healing, guiding, warring, strengthening, and protecting angels, Father. We beg of you also that as the feast days approach, we beg of you that you please continually steady our minds as the world rocks and reels and goes to and fro, Father Yahweh. As the world is troubled and disturbed on all sides, we ask that you steady the mind of Israel, and no matter what type of technical difficulties, mechanical errors, weather, and whatsoever the case may be, whatsoever the circumstance interferences are, Father Yahweh, that occur around us, we ask that you keep our minds focused and stayed upon you as well as upon staying in your path and doing your will. Father Yahweh, we beg of you also that whatsoever evil comes our way as the feast approach, we ask that you let it not upset us or offset us from keeping your feast days, Father Yahweh. We ask that you give us the strength to continue to press on and persevere in the face of all adversity, all trials, all obstacles, Father Yahweh. And we ask of you at this very hour that you remember those in Israel who may be in the house of mourning, those who may be grieving the loss of loved ones, as well as those who may be anticipating the loss of loved ones. We ask of you, Father Yahweh, that you keep our minds steady and focused and stayed on you. And we beg of you also that even in our trials and tribulations, even in our times of pain, affliction, and bodily ailments, we ask that you keep our minds focused and stayed on you and looking toward your Son, Yahshua HaMashiach's reappearance in this earth. And we ask of you also that you please heal all of our bodily ailments, no matter how minute or how major they may be. We ask that you take all of them in control, Father. And for those of us who may have to encounter doctors in these latter days, we ask that you place it in our minds to go into the doctors, praying, looking for, and trusting in you, Father Yahweh. And we ask of you that those who have to lend themselves to the doctor's care, we ask that you please guide and instruct the hands, heart, and the minds of the physicians, as well as all those who encounter your people. We beg of you also that you please provide Israel with all of the things in which you know that we stand in need of in these latter days, no matter how evil and cruel the world may be as far as trying to deprive Israel of what we stand in need of. We ask that you allow it to not be so. But we ask that you also equip Israel with all of the strength, the power, and the might in which we need to overcome all of the obstacles and hurdles that Shaitan will try to place in our way. We beg of you also that you shift our focus from the things of this world and the cares of this life into the things of the world to come, Father Yahweh. Shift our focus from providing for the things in which we stand in need of in this lifetime to preparing and readying our souls to be able to stand before you in the day of judgment. We beg of you that you please, as these latter days, as the feast approach, remove far from us all manner of leavening, not just the physical and the natural leavening that we consume, but more importantly, remove far from us the spiritual leavening of anything and everything that is unacceptable and displeasing before you, Abba Yahweh. And we ask that you remove far from us the leavening of hypocrisy, the leavening of falsehood, the leavening of insincerity. Make us more and more real in these latter days, not just with each other and how we deal with one another, but make us more and more real with ourselves, and most importantly, make us more and more real in our approach and relationship unto you, Father Yahweh. We beg of you also that you please protect your Nabayim, protect your messengers, protect your Zakans, protect your Levites, protect all those who guard or Shema or fight to declare the word of Yahweh in these latter days. We ask that you please also Fill your people with a desire to seek after the Ruach HaKodesh, and fill us with a desire to order our steps aright so as to cleanse our vessels to be willing recipients of that Ruach HaKodesh. And upon placing your Ruach HaKodesh in our vessels, Abba Yahweh, we beg of you that you please take it not from us. And please allow us to be able to be presented before your throne, having done everything in our power to be found acceptable, honorable, and favorable before you. Abba Yahweh, we ask these things of you ever so humbly, yet sincerely. In the name of Yahshua HaMashiach, we pray. Hallelujah. Dear family, feel free to take your seats. Again, and as always, it's a tough pleasure to be here with each and every one of you, again, gathered in the name of Yahweh and his son, Yahshua HaMashiach. We told Yahweh for Baruching us all to be present in the land among the living, to be able to hear his word one more time. I want to open this portion of our Shabbat observance reading from the 5th chapter of Matthew. I'll be reading a portion of Matthew, starting at verse 1 from chapter 5. And seeing the multitudes, Yahshua went up into a mountain, and he was set. His disciples came unto him, and he opened his mouth, and he taught them, saying, Baruch, or blessed are the poor in Ruach, or spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of Hashemayim. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after tzedakah, or righteousness, for they shall be filled. And Baruch are those full of her seed, or blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain her seed. Baruch are the pure in heart, for they shall see Yahweh. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Elohim. And Baruch are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed, or Baruch, are you, when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you, falsely, for my sake. Rejoice, and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the Nabaim, or the prophets which were before you. You are the salt of the eretz, or the salt of the earth. For if the salt has lost its flavor, with what shall it be salted? It's therefore good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under the foot of men. But you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but they put it on a candlestick, and it gives light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your tough works, and may glorify your Father which is in the Hashemayim. Think not that I'm come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and the earth pass, not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. And whosoever therefore shall break one of the least of these commandments, and shall teach men to do so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Hashemayim. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, you shall in no case enter into the kingdom of Hashemayim. Dear family, may Almighty Yahweh Baruch each and every one of you in these latter days to continue to strive more and more for the righteousness of Almighty Yahweh. May Yahweh put it in your minds and your hearts to strive each and every day to let the mind of Yahshua HaMashiach abide in each and every one of your vessels. And at this time I present to you Zakane Daiweed Ben Yakin Sr. Let us receive him by rendering unto Almighty Yahweh's Kodesh name the highest form of praise, which is Hallelujah.
Ahmad Arbery, you went for a run, 'cause you probably felt free. Ahmad outside or play with water guns at night. They run away from red and white blue light. Little black boys don't go to stores or use their pockets anymore. Can someone tell them what they're living for? They want more. Oh, Breon Taylor, bet your sleep felt so peaceful and pure. Oh, Breon Taylor, your peace was ended by police burglars. Streets alone at night. They turn their cameras on when they see you ride. And little black girls don't open doors or stand near windows anymore. Can someone tell them what they're living for? Are scared. Their parents feel so unprepared. The world sees black no matter what you wear. So little black boys and girls don't cry. We'll fight to find an alibi so you can go outside and never die. We will try. We'll try. We will try. We will try. We will try to close our eyes, try to walk the streets and never die. We will try to open doors, try to go to stores, try to find light. We're living for. We need more. We need more. We need
We need Yeshua. Hallelujah. Praise Almighty Yahweh. A mother in Israel sent me that song. That thing did something to me when I heard that. I was trying to eat my dinner at the time I hit the notation to see what it was about. And I was preparing to put notes together for exactly what I want to talk with you about. And as it occurred to me, ever so more than we've ever thought about it, we need Yeshua. And though he may not realize that's what he's crying out for, that's the only solution. If that don't touch you, if the conditions that we live under as a people don't touch you, if it doesn't captivate your attention long enough to make you cry out, as parents, to make you watch your children every time they go out the door, then I don't know what will. We're just in such a horrendous time. I was watching the news, and I never turned the news on the Shabbat. I'm getting prepared as we come, but I turned on the news just for a few moments to catch something, and I looked at the news stories, and I saw the pain and the anguish in the face of a black news reporter as he did a story on the Ukraine. And I listened to the choice of words, even as the story outlined how black people, even in Ukraine, were not being treated fairly in their efforts to exit. And I could hear the anguish in the reporter's voice, black woman, as she said that they allegedly mistreat black people. And it really did something to me, that you can't report a story without using all the proper words that the editors demand that you utter out of your own mouths. And I thought on that song entitled We Need More. But the reality is we need Yeshua. We're just in a sophisticated time. Now, notice my careful use of the word sophisticated time. Because I've never seen anything like this. I know these conditions. There's nothing new under the sun. Scripture teaches us that. But the conditions that we have to adjust to and get ourselves accustomed to dealing with will really take their toll upon you if you're sincere. I'm going to tell you straight out the gate. If you are sincere, this thing is going to bother you. And Yahweh wants it to bother you, because if it bothers you enough, you'll become pensive. So most of the time people, this one's heavy. Most of the time people nowadays, they're just happy being Israelites. They want everybody to know they're Israelite. That's the key now. Just want everybody to know. Okay. And if they know, then what happens? Are you living any better now that they know you're Israelite? Are they going to live any better now that they know you're Israelite? So then it's more than that. As he said, we need more. So we have to really learn to live in such a way where this is not a form or a fashion of some activity that we do, or in some instances we're forced to do, what have you. I thank Yahweh for my parents, because we had to go to the house of worship. We had elder mothers and brothers there that taught different various aspects. We saw the children's studies emerge in Israel and the things that happened, and we took great delight in that. We have children today, they don't know things like the 23rd Psalm. They don't know the 91st Psalm. They don't know how to pray. We see things like, but they can tell you all about video games, Sega, Genesis, Xbox. In fact, I'm just informed about Atari. Atari made a comeback. I didn't even know that. I was like, Atari? Yeah. Some company bought Atari, merged them, did something, and they're back. Any young people can't testify to that? Okay, there it is. Got a witness. Got another? Second? Can I get a second witness? Okay, one is good enough for me. I'll take that. But when you say to them, what is the meaning of Psalm 23 to you? You know, you teach these things to your children. As the song was playing, I thought about young brother here, little Jeremiah. Something so profound happened this morning. It was heart catching. I went through it with him real quick, and then I got away from him because some stuff just touch you. I came out of my office and I greeted the men at the front of the sanctuary there, and I greeted his daddy. But there was this interesting dynamic that took place. He was in line, like he's ready to greet the elder. But I greeted his daddy first because of age and seniority. So I saved the young blood for last. And as he stood there with his little fists up, ready to fist bump me, and just looked me straight in the face, just glad to see me. And I reflected on that when I heard the young man mention how little black boys can't safely play outside and all the things that happen. And I reflect and realize our safety and hope is in Yahshua. This is not just some pipe dream. This is how you prepare your children. You don't even send them out into any portion of the world without Yahshua first and foremost in their mind. We as Yisrael are a hard-headed people, just as Yahweh said that we are. But we can overcome that. There's no pill you're going to take to overcome that now. You got to work the knees a little bit. You got to work that heart of the mind and really become sincere to seek salvation. I was listening to the weather. They were complaining, talking about you're going to get snow, you're going to get this, you're going to get that. And a lot of times people will shut down, people will freeze, they will not move. I decided, no, we're going to go through with this because this is the last Shabbat before the Pesach. There are things that have to be said to us as a people. And as a result of an effort to prepare us, we're going to talk today about your personal Passover Memorial Supper. I'm going to teach you something that you're going to have to learn in the Word of Yahweh. You're going to have to learn it fast. Because every day and every year, you're not going to always be able to run to a sanctuary, to pray, to kneel down, to enjoy the Pesach supper, or even a Shabbat supper. Every Shabbat, you're not going to be able to do that. Pardon me, Israel. I know that one is rude, but that song just really brought it out of me, brought tears to my eyes. One thing that Yisrael's going to have to learn, Yahshua paid the ultimate price for us. I got some stuff up here. I got some notes. I got to go over some of this with us. But Yahshua paid the price for us in a way where sometimes we just don't understand the cost that went into the purchase. And because a lot of times we just don't understand it, we are comfortable with the ability to quickly devalue a thing. If you notice now, everybody's paying attention to gas now. Gas prices are high. Now all of a sudden, gas is the conversation of the day. Everybody can talk about gas. Well, there is one place where you can still get gas for perhaps $1, depends. You all heard about that, right? You didn't know? Taco Bell gives you gas for under $1. Anyway. Now, one thing that... Write that down for me. Just thought about that. Write that down. Anyway, one thing that Yisrael is going to have to understand, that as all the conditions of the world really tighten down on us, so too will the conditions surrounding the keeping of the feast days of Yahweh. It's something Israel's going to have to understand. See, when we knew Yahweh, when we had Yahweh, as the Apostle Shaul wrote to the Romans, he told them about us. He said, when they knew Yahweh, they glorified him not as Yahweh. So that when we had him, we wouldn't obey. We fought strenuously to get away from the commandments of Yah, from the beauty of Torah. We put all our effort in getting away from it. So that we got to pay for that sin. Our fathers paid, we pay. You got to pay for that. So now, as we awaken and we see the conditions of the world begin to seriously tighten in a way where it impacts all of us, guess what? Now we want to obey. Now we want to serve Yahweh. And there's a catch to it. Just like the price of gas, as it keeps going up, so too does the cost of obeying Yahweh. Because now we got to pay for the sin of when we had him and fought to disobey. Now you've got to fight to obey, because all the conditions around you are growing worse and are going to make it far more difficult to keep it and to obey. Now, that don't mean be discouraged. That means press on all the more. Because see, we're paying for it. It's only natural. You had him and wouldn't do right. Now you want him. And the devil say, hey, wait a minute. Wait, this ain't how this is going. I was looking at some articles and some things, and I find it intriguing, and I always thank Yahweh for this without bragging or boasting. I thank Yahweh, even in the sense of sometimes where I have to literally sit down and laugh, because sometimes you are so far ahead of the time in Yahweh. You can't do anything but rejoice when you look up and realize, wow, he showed us that. So that as it emerged, we are able to sidestep it, because you saw things coming sometimes 20, 30 years in advance. I mean, come on, look at Noah. Noah saw a major global crisis coming at least 120 years in advance. You hear what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying? See, we saw the Ukraine war coming in 93. We were talking about this back in 93. I went and pulled the video clip out. I forget the name of the video, but anyway, we did a lecture here in Baltimore. We pulled it out. We were talking about Russia and the different things that were going to happen. And unless Israel knows these things, Daniel went real extensive in a discussion of this in chapter 11. I mean, he went deep into a discussion of this. But unless you know the biblical names of the landmass and the regions and their modern names today, you might gloss over all of this. So when we were reading and looking at this, in 1993, an author, Samuel Huntington, wrote a very vicious article. I say vicious because anytime my folk write articles or books and they talk about killing you off or whatever it might take, that's vicious. Because see, if you can take command of the entire earth and structure laws, education, schooling, politics, banking, where you can structure things to systemically crush a people, while other people knowingly, sophisticatedly pick it up, comprehend it, and even at varying degrees have this innate within them to fall in line, and yet you can't figure it out or powerless to stop it. You need help. Are you hearing me? See, you can't convince me that there's some secret school somewhere where the global white community teaches racism. You can't convince me of that. They teach racism, no doubt, but you're not going to convince me that there's a school where they go and teach it. This thing is innate. It is genetic. It is the will of Yahweh that certain levels of hatred emerge and come up against you. You got to know this, so that now it's down to the wire where public policy is going to demand not just submission to the beast, but the giving over of your soul. This is serious. When somebody's talking about mandating that you be vaxxed and all this other stuff, and then they come out and tell you that the genetic makeup of what they're going to do is going to change you, somewhere along the line now, you need some help, because you ain't got enough soldiers to overcome it. You know, the individual racist, okay, you punch him in the face. At the end of the day, you really still don't feel no better. The law still backs him up. You need more. You're going to need some help. So as the Torah of Yah draws us closer to Yahweh, as the name of Yahweh is literally a strong tower, then the righteous will have to run into it to be safe. Here comes the devil. His name ain't Yahweh. Yahuwah. Yahusha. Now you divided in 3 camps. They're saying Yahweh, they're saying Yahuwah, they're saying Yahweh Shah. Here comes somebody else with something else. Here comes some in and out. Here's some holding on to the Lord God. Here's some Yahweh Allah. So now you got mass confusion. And we still don't know the devil and how the devil operates. But the consistency of Yahweh is that all throughout his word, we're going to start finding we are without excuse. In summer of 1993, I'm going to touch on this real quick and I'm going into the day's message. Samuel Huntington wrote an article in Foreign Affairs magazine. And again, to substantiate and further validate their racism, these folks snatch professors off campus, and pay their salaries for a year, sometimes to send them away. You go right on that. You expound on that. That's a news article. It's a good article. Turn it into a book. Take all your thoughts, channel it, put it there, and we're going to make this famous. This is an idea. We want to run with it. So they were talking about, to bring about the New World Order, there will be a clash of civilizations. And in it, the article just basically said, yeah, we're going to have 7, possibly 8 major civilizations left because we're consolidating everything. He said 7, possibly 8, because they were intending to kill Africa off. Don't you understand that? I didn't bring it out. It doesn't matter. There's a book that was published entitled America and the World They Made. And America's foreign policy set so much disaster in place. Not just the Ukraine-Russia wars, but Iraq. What was that little state that owed Iraq $70 billion? Kuwait. Dividing lines at the end of wars, splitting nations in half, creating battle lines. America's policy did that while attempting on the behalf of the British government to shape the world on the behalf of Shaitan as he would emerge. Yahweh's people have to know politics and scripture enough to see the two walking right down the aisle together, while Yahweh had messengers tell us all this. A lot of times we don't understand. I've always been fascinated by it because coming up as a young child, my father always talked about this stuff. So there wasn't no avoiding this in our house. And I thank Yahweh that I couldn't avoid it. So as we look at these things, we realize now, and I'm going to get this quote, where Huntington talked about it, so that as they commanded that he take this article, The Clash of Civilizations, and turn it into a book, which ended up being this, The Clash of Civilizations. Here the article is Clash of Civilizations. Here the book is The Clash of Civilizations and the Remaking of World Order. Get the difference? See, by the time he had expounded upon it, what he talked about in the initial article was exactly what was in line with prophecy anyway. Funny thing about Huntington is that myself and Mr. Daweed were running the radio broadcast here in Baltimore. I'll never forget this, because in the month of December 2009, we pulled his article up and we did an analysis, a broadcast called The 10 Most Dangerous White Men in the World. Remember that? 10 most dangerous white men in the world. And we had him on the list. We did the article and the analysis of him on the broadcast. He died a couple weeks later. We didn't throw a party, but anyway. Some of their own sometimes have to get out of the way. Listen, they make these pacts with the devil, their Masonic movements and all this stuff. Trust me, you all. They're so convinced that they're going to rule it and run it forever. They believe some of the things we believe from a different channel. They believe they're going to live and rule forever too, that Shaitan going to grant them eternal life. If you study their stuff, they believe it too. That's why when they do all they do and dedicate their life, they go all out. And when it's time to die, they go out, they ain't even fussing. They happy because they really think they're going to get up and kick back up where they started from. So we don't have a chance in their eyes. We look at Yahweh's words and realize you don't have a chance in his eyes. So for some of us, we just got to be cool and wait and see. Because we see how you all have run everything. And this is where the fight gets real slippery. Because sometimes white people will come to the knowledge of Yahweh's name and will strive to live according to all that's in the book. And it gets real tricky for a lot of us. Because we got to face the fact, and I'm going to say it straight into the camera. We got to face the fact. we have a history with you all where we can't trust you. You've turned on us time after time after time. But we don't have a history of taking your land, of raping your daughters, of enslaving you, of just killing you in mass numbers. In fact, hunting you and killing you for sport. We don't have a history of that. We don't even have a history of truly seeking vengeance. We don't have the history of it. We're just really getting up enough nerve 60 years after a young black boy was beat to death, drowned, shot, body tied to the fan of an automobile and thrown in the river. We're just getting the heart 60 years after that to call for murder charges against the little white woman that lied and said now, hey, look, white man went, Ghost wrote the book with his mother, Emmett Till's mother. Interviewed her, which she recanted her story. He said it. He said he had the tape. He put it in the book. Now they're saying she didn't. We're just asking, 60 years later, for an 81-year-old woman, that murder charges be brought. That's how forgiving we are. We all were on the same earth that she was. That wouldn't have been our little Jeremiah. Or our little Malachi. Or our little Isaiah. Or our little, what's my dear brother's name? Cameron. No, sir. Wouldn't have been. Kingston and others. No! Because you fight for the death for your own like they do. See, they come for ours. They go to the jail, break them out 3,000 strong, and want to hang them, want to lynch them. They will do that to us because their law backs them up. But we don't even have the heart to stand for Yahweh's law and say enough is enough. You're going to serve Yahweh, you're going to serve Yahweh. But I got some news for you. You got to pay for the sins of your fathers just as we're paying for the sins of our father. And Yah's word says that in that kingdom age, you got to go into captivity because a global lesson has to be learned by every soul that has ever walked the face of this earth. Every soul has to learn the lesson of it. The thing goes all the way back to the garden. So what makes them think that they're superior and that they will get away? So even their own said that when you see them beginning to fight and get the battles in place, pretty soon we'll have the order shape. You got to hear this. This is what Huntington says about them. I believe this was page 36 of the book. He didn't have to go in too far into the book. Page 37. He said, paradigms generate predictions. And as a crucial test of a paradigm's validity and usefulness is the extent to which the predictions derived from it turn out to be more accurate than those from alternative paradigms. A statist paradigm, for instance, leads John Mearsheimer to predict that the situation between Ukraine and Russia is ripe. This is 1993. That the situation is ripe for the outbreak of security competition between them. Great powers that share a long and unprotected common border like that between Russia and Ukraine often lapse into competition driven by security fears. Russia and Ukraine might overcome this dynamic and learn to live together in harmony, but it would be unusual if they do. A civilizational approach, on the other hand, civilizational approach, on the other hand, emphasizes the close cultural, personal, and historical links between Russia and Ukraine and the intermingling of Russians and Ukrainians in both countries, and focuses instead on the civilizational fault lines that divides Orthodox Eastern Ukraine from Uniate Western Ukraine. A central historical fact of long standing which, in keeping with the realist concept of states as unified and self-denied entities, Mearsheimer totally ignores this. While a statist approach highlights the possibility of a Russian-Ukrainian war, a civilizational approach minimizes that and instead highlights the possibility of Ukraine splitting in half, which is exactly what's happening. And Russia saying, I'll come help you. Come on back to me. Are y'all hearing this? The man said, you looking at political dynamics. You're not looking at cultural dynamics. And in the cultural, they're going to split. Listen to what he says. So the possibility of Ukraine splitting in half, a separation which cultural factors would lead one to predict might be more violent than that of Czechoslovakia, but far less bloody than that of Yugoslavia. As of 2022, there you have it. Now you either got to be a prophet to call it out like that, or a planner. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Now I know the best of planners told us it was coming, but he told you to calm down because you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars. And he says, see that you be not troubled, for the end is not yet. Okay? You still got to see nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Are you understanding now?
Yes, sir.
When they bring this thing up and all the nations start really seeing just how wicked and unfair it is, they still cannot produce justice. Though they may be fighting for it, they can't produce justice. So what will you have? Pandemonium. That's when you will know the end is sure enough near. Can you imagine trying to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread in a war-torn country where bombs are falling daily? And yet you know Yah, you know every day of the week, you know that somehow, somewhere you're praying for respite enough to just, if no more than get your Shabbat rest. People ain't gonna always be hearing the word. If they think trouble won't come to the shores of America, you're sadly mistaken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
I bring all this up because as I was writing down just something small, looking at notes, listen to this, wrote this down. Keeping the Feast of Yahweh will grow more intense as we learn to obey because we have to pay for our own sins. Let us not forget that when we knew Yahweh, we began to rebel. We became more intense in our efforts to go astray and were determined to do so. Now everything will reverse as it leads to our redemption as a people. This is why Yahshua told us troublous times should come. He warned us. When we had it good, we didn't know what we had. Yah says to Israel in Hosea chapter 8, I believe it is, says, yeah, I have written unto him the great things in my Torah, but it was counted unto him as a strange thing. See, we think it's so strange now when you start telling us we got to keep the Passover. Well, that's the Jewish holiday. That's this, that's that. Now, well, you know what? The Jewish community is just as divided as any and everybody else. Only difference is that even in their division, they got one agreement. And their agreement is, I don't give a damn how divided we are. One of us going to rule over all of them. That's their global agreement. They don't care how divided it is. One of them going to rule. Because eventually they'll put a difference aside just for sake of staying in charge. This is where Yahweh's people got to master this thing in such a way where sometimes you don't even have to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I was in a company meeting up there. They were behind schedule on some projects that they got. Now, I've known this family for quite a few years now, a couple decades now. I've known them and they know me. So they know I keep Shabbat. But there's a company-wide mandate that everybody get in now. They're behind schedule. They got to get some stuff done by the end of March. So everybody got to work on Shabbat. Everybody. And the man just kept saying, everybody, saying it with his chest. You know, Kevin Hart told him, say it with your chest. So I said what I said with my chest. I said, then they say nothing. So there's one person, he's looking at me. And I'm thinking, I don't know what you looking at me for, because he ain't talking to me.
Right.
So I didn't have to say anything. When everybody was, oh, I got this to do, I got that to do, Johnson was like this. Because I knew when the meeting was over with, I was getting up and going out that door. Same way I came in. As a little child in the neighborhood, Little arguments would ensue. Somebody say something. Yeah, that's why you got on ugly shoes. That's why you got on this. Oh, your mother. You know how children do. My mother used to say, come on now, all that arguing. When you hear nothing, say nothing. Well, when you're a child, you don't catch them adult sayings and slangs and idioms. You don't understand the depth of that. I'm a man now. My mother been gone a long time, but I thank Yahweh that she was able to even say things like that. So I heard nothing, so I said nothing. I don't know if they're working today. No, I don't give a squirrel. In fact, me and my sister have this saying from time to time we mess with people with. We say, I don't give a flying squirrel. People think you give me a curse. But that's a figure of speech. I don't care. It's rare you see a flying squirrel, right? So anyway, we say, I don't give a flying squirrel. People think you give me a curse. But I don't. Because I knew, though these corporations put pressure on people to work jobs, the news was reporting that America is having a tough time finding employees, especially for the construction industry. My Ishar was saying, so yeah, see people now that can work from home, people want that easy stuff. You can type and do this and do that. Said, don't nobody want to work hard. The man, as soon as she shut up, the man said, it's because construction is hard work and people just don't want to do that type of work anymore. It's that, even though it's good money in the industry, people, they don't want to, nobody wants to trade in 20 years of hard labor to earn 20 years or 30 years of back pain, chronic back pain, or knees and legs and stuff like that. You hear what I say? People are catching on. In other words, my time in the construction industry, for a man my age, my time is catching up with me now, because I suffer from chronic back pain. A lot of days, my back hurts almost every day. I don't need no drugs, no alcohol, nothing. I get up, I pray. As I start moving around, the tensions of it ease. I give it to Yahweh, and that's that. I know that in Yahshua, I've been given a promise. I'm faithful to wait on that. I know that as I strive and wake up again and make it to that kingdom age, I know one thing I ain't got to ever worry about again, and that's back pain. You hear me? There are other things, and the list goes on and on. We don't have to worry about it no more. In this lifetime, because of our sins and the sins of our father, going all the way back to the beginning, we're all going to suffer something. Every job, every trade, every profession you're in, you do it long enough, that body itself is going to pay for that sin. You hear me? Typists, they get carpal tunnel or elbow problems, different thing. Other people look at computer screens, it bothers their eyes, different thing. Every aspect of the body is going to pay in this lifetime. So there's no getting around. There's no, well, I'm going to take the easy job. Look, studies of children with computer games and different things now. What are they saying now? This is just 10, 15 years down the road. They're having manual dexterity problems. Problems with their hands. Because Yahweh has allowed the flesh, the bone, the interior, all this stuff is weakening now. And the only thing that can grow and strengthen is the Ruach HaKodesh within all of our vessels. We need that. You hear what I say? One thing that will be strengthened and nobody even thinks about. In the kingdom age, sometimes from time to time it gets to me. Some things make me tear up. I am a man. I am not afraid to cry. I hear men all the time say, well, a man ain't supposed to cry. As soon as I hear a man say stuff like, I get away from him. He's an idiot. In fact, I can use this word safely. When I hear a man say that, I know he's a jackass. Right? See, you can't convince me that a car is not made to go. Because they built it with 4 wheels on it. And they put an accelerator right there on the right side so that your foot hit it. And once your foot touch it, it go forward, right? So now you can't tell me car ain't meant to move. That's the purpose of it. You're not going to convince me now that Yahweh made man and woman. And for some reason or another, he put these tiny holes right up here in their eyelids called tear ducts. And they're not supposed to release that water. See, that's a jackass that wants to tell you that. Right or wrong? Come on, man. Even animals have I saw a video clip. A jackass. Literally. They were on one side of the electric fence, and the woman with her children, woman with her dogs was on the other side of the fence. The dog put his nose on the fence and got shot so bad, he took off running and snatched away from the woman with the collar and the leash and ran down the road. The jackass started laughing. Look it up. It's a 60-second clip, YouTube video. The jackass started literally laughing. Now, for those of you who like to investigate, you probably think that through. You said, now, he probably touched that fence or saw one of the other jackasses touch the fence and realized it caused pain. So when it happened to the dog, even in the animal kingdom, to him, it was funny. Now, that's amazing. You think they don't cry when one another die? You think they're not sad? I saw a pigeon get hit by a car. And a whole host of pigeons, a few years ago on North Avenue, a whole host of pigeons came down, landed in the street, and just gathered around his little body. I saw it with my own eye. You think they don't feel things? The animal kingdom, in the ark with Father Noah, when y'all hit that ark with the storm and it raised in the wind, it rocked it. Everything, all flesh that was left alive thought they were going to die. Everything cried out to Abba Yahweh, even though it was all being saved. So who are we in the so-called 21st century to think we are any better? We have so many lessons to learn from our fathers as we strive to obey Yahweh. My central theme in life is simply calm down. You got to be patient now. Thunder and lightning could hit, boom, pow, bam, and for a split second you jump. You know, not my father. He hid. We were coming in from D.C. one Shabbat, or I forget what day it was, but we were coming in from D.C., and it rained real heavy. And when you're coming in off of 295, I think you get on Kenilworth Avenue going in, and then you're coming out. Anyway, we were going in. No, we were coming out. And the cars going in hit a real heavy pothole. And it splashed all this water. And the water hit the windshield of this big LTD Landau, which is big as the Poseidon Adventure itself, to me as a child. It hit the windshield. And I was in the front seat, and I folded up like that. And my father was driving. He says, "What's the matter with you?" And just kept on driving. But it scared me just for a split second. And I thought to myself as we were driving along, he just got nerves of steel, man. Nothing bothers him. I'm older now, I understand. It's that confidence in Yahshua. My father could eat dinner at the kitchen table, sit back, push his plate aside, or you could take the plate, put it in the sink, whatever, sit there, talk to you for a little bit, put his head down, sit there, and nod off to sleep. My sister or myself, we could say, "Daddy, why don't you go on, sit down in the living room and sit down on the sofa before you fall." I ain't gonna fall. Long as he on the throne, I ain't gonna fall. That's confidence. Confidence. I've never seen a person die. I'll use this word in this instance. I've never seen somebody die so gracefully in all my days. Just calm, patient, peacefully, waiting, knowing it's my time to go. And he wasn't hurried, wasn't stressed, wasn't pressured. He had this gold watch that we had bought him. My sister took that off of him. You know how they do you in the hospital sometimes. They take stuff from the elderly. And my sister took the watch off of him, but as a habit, he kept looking at his watch. And my sister said, "Daddy, you pray and ask Yahweh to bless you to see the angels." His response was so cool and so confident as he laid back in that little hospital bed with his hands behind his head. He just looked over at her. He said, "Oh, I will." And just kept on staring out in space. Just relaxed. We as Yahweh's children, man or woman, boy or girl, you got to get to that type of confidence in Yahweh, Yahshua. Job said, according to his living in Yahweh, "Though after the skin worms destroy this body, yet I know in my flesh I shall see Yahweh." He didn't say hope. He didn't say think. He said, "I know." You got to know and understand your relationship with Yahweh. Do you hear me? In that meeting the other day when the man said it was mandatory for everybody to get in there on Saturday, everybody, I mean everybody, I knew he wasn't even talking to me. There are special codes sometimes, relationships you have with people, like Yusuf had with the Pharaoh of old. When that Pharaoh died, the new one rose up. He was on a different level. This one wasn't even talking to me. So I did not have to respond. I thank Yahweh for parents, for elder fathers and mothers in Israel who could say little things to us sometimes that would stick with you for life. That's why you as younger people, when you get them chance and you sit down having these conversations with people in Yahweh, pay attention to the depth of the conversation, because you don't know what sentence, what line, what word is sometimes needed later down the road to strengthen you, to comfort you, or to encourage you along the way. You don't know what is needed until you recall it. So don't be an intellectual dullard in Yahweh where you hear everything and just forget it. You cannot be a forgetful hearer, because we don't all always know when Yahweh places us in the midst of his Kedushim, sometimes the least of them that are least esteemed. There's somebody in Yahweh's eyes that is great, or a prophetess or a prophet. We never know, okay? There's a little boy, a dear woman in Yah, prophetess Shushan. She said this thing many, many years ago, that Yahweh showed her in a dream and in a vision that New York City would get bombed. She called that out in the 70s. And when the bombing took place, now look, hear me on this, because I don't know nothing now above and beyond what Yahweh revealed. But when that stuff took place, I thought, if Yahweh showed her that, I wonder if that's all that there is to it. Because worse could even come. We failed to take into account three major cities in the earth, man, they really get on everybody's nerves. Just some countries, they don't say it or they can't articulate it. But there are 3 cities, man. New York, London, and Tokyo. Those probably 3 of the worst hellholes on the face of this earth. Because those 3 financial districts are responsible for a lot of mayhem all over the earth. You see that nationwide comment, the man, I'm a pothole. I'm mayhem. He's sitting on the hood of the car. He's predicting the accident. Well, that's them. London, Tokyo, and New York City. So we pay attention to this triumvirate as certain things are done, because right now, how does one people get a complete monopoly over Passover, supper, rites, understanding, all that there is, and then when you sit down real carefully and scrutinize in the word and pray that Yahweh raise up messengers or someone somewhere that understands it, say, this is all wrong. This is wrong. Like the little man from the United States Department of Defense. Years after having gone in Iraq, coming, they had these weapons of mass destruction, this, that, and other, blah, blah, blah. The little man came out and said, we were wrong. We were all wrong. And we were all wrong. Now hear what he said. He said, we were wrong. We were all of us were wrong. And we were all wrong in everything they did. But he admitted it too late. So I'm saying today, without picking on them, they're wrong. They're all wrong. One thing about hearing, remember this. Just as Yahshua said that the day will come and all those that are in the grave shall hear his voice. Okay. Just as he said all those that are in the grave shall hear his voice and shall come forth. Well, guess what? All of you that are alive and are his, you too have to hear his voice in your lifetimes. Are you hearing me? In your lifetimes. Because it is within us. That's why I always quote Isaiah 59:21. He says, for my word Shall not depart out of your mouth, out of the mouth of your seed, out of the mouth of your seed. See, somewhere along the line is a genetic hookup there. It is a connection to you. The junction box in the house is usually in the basement somewhere, but that don't stop the fact of you being able to plug up the thing on the 3rd floor. Somehow, some way, there is a power connection. Am I making sense yet? See, Yahweh's people, this is the most beautiful thing about Yahweh. He wrote it in us. And then he had his messengers write it down. Then he had the enemy's children come and get it and scramble it all up. But yet, there's enough in it. See, a scrambled egg is still an egg. If you don't take none of the ingredients out, it's still an egg. It's just been scrambled now, right? Okay, you can even fry it. It's still an egg. So they scrambled this. The ingredients are still there. Then they've added things. Do you know sometimes some things that are additives have to burn up? Gold comes out of the earth and it has dirt entwined in it. Other things. When you put the fire to it, sure enough, the other things burn out. They burn off. They dissipate. Falsehood in Yahweh's word, it has to dissipate. You understand? If Israel could just really truly calm down, repeat after me. Say, pray Yahweh of the harvest. For the harvest is ripe, but the laborers are few. Hallelujah. So if Israel could just pray the Abba Yahweh, Baruch, shepherds and messengers to stand up. See, we don't live forever. Remember what Yahweh said to Israel. You can have some of the greatest of leaders and messengers in your era of time. But Yahweh said, and where are the prophets? Do they live forever? But my words, you get it? So we can get as attached to a lot of times people think I'm mean because I get on them. I get on anybody. Once they start that worshiping and that uplifting stuff of me, I don't care who you are. Once they start that, I stop them. And I'm going to tell you why I stop them. Because men and spirits in the world. Remember what the messenger of Yah said? He said, who can overcome an evil spirit, which goes into the vessel like smoke? So egotisms and things can be so stroked in a man sometimes. They love me. Oh, they honor me. So now he starts to lose sight of Yahweh because the people love him and honor him and respect him. So there's a way around that. Real simple. You stop them from this overabundance of honor on you and make certain that they always place all the honor. Because no man did what he did. No man could do what he did, and no man is going to do what he will do. You hear me? They want to rule the whole world. Scripture says they're going to get it. They're going to get it for about a good 3.5 years. They're going to get it. Whatever this thing is, he's going to have the whole world under his thumb. But there's only one man that can truly rule it. Oh, Yahshua. There's only one. And after it's all set up and set in order, this is the beauty of the kingdom to come. These demons say, well, I don't want to live in a perfect world. That's boring. Everybody thinking the same thing. Everybody doing the same thing. See, their minds are just so warped at rebellion. They can't possibly conceive of everybody knowing automatically and doing all those things automatically without being automatons, but in free will. They can't conceive of everybody loving everybody, nobody being greedy, nobody stealing, nobody robbing, none of that. They can't conceive it, and they can't conceive it because Yah has not allowed them to conceive it. It ain't for them. You know what I'm saying? White folk get up and build exclusive communities and gate them off. It's not for you. It's exclusive. Notice, it means you're excluded. People think exclusive means, oh, it's great, it's grand. This is exclusive. This is exclusive means something's left out. I remember years ago working with a little man. He called himself a preacher. He thought he was something great. Hey, okay, fine. You work, you do what you do. I understand. He has a little truck. He work out his truck up there. Look, see, I live in one of them exclusive neighborhoods. I said, what's exclusive mean? He says, You know what it means. It's a good neighborhood. Ain't no niggas around there stealing, if that's what you mean. He put his hands on his hips to me, right? So I said, you live there? Yeah, I live there. Why? I said, well, it can't be too exclusive. Because if people are really up to whatever it is that they say they are, then something has to be excluded. So now, what was the standard that let you in, that stopped him from getting in? He couldn't even tell me. I know what he wanted to say. He wanted to say, my money, I got this, I got that. But you out here working hard like everybody else. If it's so exclusive, do what Bill Gates do. Just jump on in your jet. Vacation for a year or 2 or 3. Go and do it. They can do it. If you got to work every day of your life, you are the working poor. Or if you really want to be true with yourself, just say it, I'm a slave. Man walked up to me and said it. I'm self-employed. I'm out there working with him like everybody. He walked up and asked me a question about the jobs and some stuff. So the other woman foreman of that job, she was standing there with him. He talking. So I didn't want to answer his question. And that was what their conversation was about. I didn't want to get in it. So I quickly bowed out. I said, man, don't ask me nothing. I'm a slave. I don't know nothing about that. You got to go to those up in the house. I'm out in the field. So she giggled and bust out laughing. She said, as painful as that is to admit, that makes sense. That is so true. I am nothing more than a slave. I said, yeah, now look, don't you go back and tell the master I said that, because then it's going to be some problems for all of us. Do you understand me? So they laughed some more, but I eased away because I didn't want to get into the discussion of what they were talking about. But my point being, so what? They got the whole planet right now. Yahweh Baruch the man with so much wisdom and understanding that he told us there is a time that I've seen men ruling over another to their own hurt. So y'all in charge right now. You got the world. You make the rules. You take the houses, the land. You do everything you want to do. You make all the rules. You ruling right now to your own detriment. You think it's funny. You make rules and exclude us. You do anything you want to do. You kill our children, and you're always right. Every justification in it. You kill our elderly, you're always right. You bomb us, you're always right. How in the world can a black body be stronger than a white body that now we can take explosions better than they can? So they can get out of a country being bombed into oblivion, but we can't, because we stronger. Somehow we this super tough black skin can survive the bomb. Like a roach. Think about that for a minute. That's why I stopped and looked at y'all. Now we see, even the white roach is rare. If you get my point, right? Okay, so let's get off of them. I don't have time for them. I will say this boldly. Outside of those of them that are really sincerely trying, and I don't know all of them, but I'm saying outside of those of them that are sincerely trying, the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, you can go to hell. You can bomb each other into oblivion. And I don't think I will pick up a shovel to try to bury your bodies. After all you've done in this earth, after how you really and truly feel about people. Yahweh says in his word that when it get to going down, sure enough, from one end of this earth to the other, he's so sick and tired of the wicked. He says that they should not be gathered, nor buried, nor lamented. You know that's going to be a tough time when people ain't even got time to gather the bodies, to bury them, or to even cry over them. That's black, brown, red, yellow, or white. I'm out every day, and I get to study nationalities. I get to interact with different types of people and nationalities. And I always ask people all the time, where you from? What's your nationality? That's not being nosy. It's just sometimes, just for sake of cultural differences, you may want to know. You never know. Anyway, so I was in 7-Eleven the other morning, and the brother just kept looking at me for whatever reason. Just every move I made, he was doing, stirring his car, he kept looking at me. I moved to the other side and doing stuff, he kept looking at me. Then he kept on. But I noticed when I pulled out the little wallet to get money, and don't do this in public. Don't pull your money out in public. If you're in stores, have what you got to pay for. Kind of like have that ready. Because you don't want somebody to see you got this here to pay for that, but you got a reserve of stuff here. Protect yourselves, okay? So anyway, I noticed when I pulled out the money to pay what I paid for, now he focused and he really looking. That was when I got on the defensive. And all the niceness and the meekness shifted gears real quick. I'm at one cash register, hit the other. So then I said, what you keep looking at me for? You keep looking at me like I did something wrong. Is something wrong? And all of a sudden now that aggression stopped. The spine and the prying and all that. All of a sudden it stopped it because now I'm thinking, wait a minute. It's 4 of y'all, but it's 1 of me. Now for some, Hispanic people rob and steal too.
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't give me that. Robberies and things in stores and general public, if you ever see stuff on tape or watch this stuff on the news, you learn something. What you learn sometimes when people are working in teams, want to ask for some change, that's to get you distracted. The others watching to see what you pull out. But then there may be the third wingman who got the little club that'll bust your head and stuff. You understand? So sometimes you have to be well versed enough in street culture. I was explaining something to my wife the other day. I had to stop at an ATM, take care of some business, and a strange situation transpired. One car pulled up this way, and another car pulls up on the opposite side of the truck that I didn't even see. But the little white man got out with the dark shades and everything. He just leaned on the pole. So now I'm facing this machine. He comes this way. I'm watching the car. And I'm assessing my value. Say, okay, now this is a Mercedes-Benz. This is a relatively new one. This is one of the large ones, so it costs a little something. Unless the brother stole it, immediately I assumed, okay, he ain't up to no good because he can afford that. Okay, boom. But it was this dirty little white boy with these glasses that didn't look cool, had his back turned to me the whole time, and I'm like, where did he come from? So when I finished my business, now all my momentum changed. And I was explaining to my Isha what I did. Because, see, in public, you don't panic when you see stuff. Because if you move fast or look afraid, now you become prey. But instead, I slowed up. I assessed him, and then I spun and I looked at him. But the whole time, I did not rush. I just moved slow. Because, in other words, I was sending a body signal, which is, if you're thinking about trying anything, I'm just as ready as you are. Because, see, that sends a signal to those. See, when robbers are looking for somebody, they're looking for somebody that's in fear because then that makes you an easy prey. So moving fast is what makes them attack. But when you slow up, you give the impression, I'm just as ready as you are. And by having shirts and things that are out, you don't know what's up under the shirt. You don't know. So I didn't move fast. But the brother went to the machine first, even though he pulled up first, but he got out first. So I watched and I got in the truck and I was explaining to my Isha and I was saying, never move fast when situations like that get up on you. Because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Y'all be with us, have to protect us. But the point being, never show that type of fear. And it happened, what was that, twice in one day? 2 scenarios like that. And both times, I didn't move fast. I moved real slow because I wanted them to know, wait a minute, what's going on here? What is this? But I wasn't panicked. Yahweh tells Israel, be not afraid of sudden fear, nor of the desolation of the wicked when it comes. I parked and I went into a store. 2 young men, they went that way. I watched them go and I went into the store. But as I came back out the store, they had it perfectly timed. They were walking right across my path. It's like, now what's this? Wait a minute, they went that way and then you come back and time it perfectly. So again, started moving slow and sizing them up. I'm thinking, okay, now one's a little bigger than the other. One's a little smaller than, okay, I'm going to get you first. Since you're in my size class, I'm going to get you first. Shorty, I can take you there later. When they realized he's watching, they kept on moving. And I said to my Isha, I said, same scenario. That's twice in one day. Watch yourselves. Be careful. Pay attention. I used to teach you all that everybody serving Yahweh, everybody got a body. Let me break down what I mean. This global intelligence community hates Yisrael. All them agencies are working together to stifle the word of Yahweh, to stop it from going forward, to prevent the salvation and the redemption of Israel. All of them do it. So I'm sitting in the truck and I'm watching the neighborhood where white boys don't venture in this neighborhood. And we doing the work, and I'm the foreman there. I oversee some stuff, but I'm sitting there, and I always park, I don't care what job say, I always park my vehicle in a way where you can't quite get up on me or come to me with a blind spot. I'm parked where I can see everything around me. I got the mirrors positioned. I can see what's behind that truck. I can see that way. I'm watching everything. And these white boys come up. I said, it's strange that they keep walking past. So I'm nosy. I shot a couple pictures, you know, what have you. And as they came, got right in the front and the hood of the truck, I was sitting there like I was on the phone, but the whole time I was just shooting pictures of them, they walking past. And he got his hat pulled down so low at his face, you can look up and realize, okay, these are not drug addicts. Though their clothes are dirty and everything about it, there is a distinctive difference between people in the world that are poor and are homeless, are not capable of taking a bath, just don't have the means. There's a certain way that your spiritual aura, as well as the dirt that's on your flesh, sits. If you are a dirty white boy, but you go home to a wife and children every night, you take a bath, you not fooling anybody. There's a way your hair lays. I don't care if you got a beard, there's a way your hair sets on your face, your skin. We don't pay enough attention to the detail. Every day they come strolling through. And I told the operator, I said, pay attention to them. I said, because see now, some days he walked through, he limping and he on a cane. Then other days he's walking the cane without the limp. And the boss said, man, you got some hell of a detail with you. He said, you right. He said, I was sitting up in the machine and I shot some pictures. Yesterday he came through, he was on a cane, walking and limping, acting like that. He said they either doing undercover work or they watching somebody. Now that's what the man said. Steve Coakley taught us that many years ago, that there are things that are being monitored. You have no idea how you go places. You keep seeing the same person. They keep popping up at the same store you at. Then you 10 miles away. Now you at another. Pay attention to your environment. I'm not sowing seeds of paranoia. I'm showing you that things are happening at a rapid pace. Y'all was poor little people have to be so ready and so prepared as they go through the days of drawing closer to Yahweh and keeping his commandments. Follow me here real quick. Let's go to the scriptures. I want to show you some things that we should be looking at as the time draws near. Certain stuff you want to get out of your houses. Certain items from Lebanon. Had 2 phone calls this week, and dear brother and dear sister, you know, as I told you all both, no disrespect, it did make me chuckle. But I want y'all to understand what is and is not Lebanon as far as your house is concerned. We're dealing with all the food items. Okay, all the food items. You're not going to eat the baby wipes or the Pampers or things like that. So you ain't got to read the ingredients in the Pampers. Unless you get in the urge to eat the Pamper, okay, I wouldn't throw the thing out. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Years ago in the Assembly of Yahweh, brother raised the point. This is the funniest thing. He said that the houses that we live in have drywall, and the drywall got Lebanon agents in it. So, yeah, this was funny. I asked him, so are you planning to eat the drywall? I took a lead paint basement course about a year or so ago, and the teacher was white. I highly respect something he said. When he got to this specific point, he raised his voice because he was angry about it, because he said, this is what they said. And this is racist to the core. And I don't want to hear any of you bring this up because it's racist. They said that the poor black children in the inner cities had lead paint poured them because they were eating paint chips. He was angry, and I really respected that. He said, that's a lie. The children were not eating paint chips off the wall. He said, lead-based paint, and lead, period, is heavy. It doesn't stay in the air long. It's heavy. Even in dust, it's heavy. Your children play on the floor. The babies are learning to walk. They crawl. They go. They try to peep out the windows. They touch the windowsills. It's heavy. It's there. Then some of this seeps into their skin. Some of this, sometimes they'll eat their food and can't fully wash all this off their hand. This is how they ingested the lead-based paint. And he was angry at the fact that white society said that we were all just stupid eating paint chips. I respected him for bringing that point up. They reported in the paper this week that lead-based gas, leaded gasoline, has stunted the intellectual capacity of practically every American. Just the fumes of leaded gasoline has done something to all of us. Maybe I'll start with myself. Maybe it's me now. I'm a little nutty now, so I got a little lead in me. You smiling, y'all see, lead jumped out. That's what the story said. So I can understand you've poisoned the whole world. Everybody. Somebody has to pay for this as a sin. Revelations 11:18 reminds us somebody's got to pay. Somebody's got to pay. You're not going to blame that on little boys out there on the street corner now. You did that. So Yahweh's poor little people, they're out here suffering. And they're not learning the things that they should learn. Let's go back in the scripture. I want to show you something. Let's go to the book of Numbers real quick, chapter 9. And let's tie all this in from the beginning of when I stepped out on this stage to talk to you all till the moment I step away. Let's tie all this together, okay? Numbers chapter 9, verse 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the wilderness of Sinai. Where were they at? In the wilderness of Sinai. Not at the mall. In the wilderness, right? In the first month of the second year, after they would come out of the land of Egypt. Now, why wasn't the 13 months there at this precise time? How is it that you couldn't count 13 months later? You understand where I'm going? Mother smiled because she know where I'm going with this. 13 months later, you couldn't do it? Yahweh said in the first month of the second year, after they would come out of the land of Egypt. So already the children of Israel now had a full grasp of Yahweh's concept of time for us. I don't give a damn what they doing in Russia or China. As Israel, wherever we are, Abba Yahweh has a concept of time for us. Okay? This is the second year after they would come out of the land of Egypt. Let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season. Some books say the, or should it say his? What y'all book say? His. Okay, his. He masculinizes this for a reason. Because Yahshua is our Passover. Now, he hadn't come in the sense that we know him as Yahshua HaMashiach. But yet it is appointed for him. Because the very concept of this is older than even Israel themselves as a nation. And we got to get to that. We got to prove that to you, all right? This for the lost book lovers. They like the lost books. Now we're going to give them a homicide and let them go look this up. And they're going to say, wow. Now, this is the interesting thing about me. They'll hate me so bad that if y'all will reveal something to me and I say it, if they think it's deep and profound, they'll run and teach it. But they won't say, I heard Elder Johnson say it. I believe y'all revealed it to him, and I heard him, and I went back and looked it up and read it, and it resonated with my spirit. They won't say that. Now, brother did that day, brother Earl, company Earl Turfs Masters, I believe it is. He put up a post the day. It was a real interesting post, and acknowledging it because he tagged me in it, and I responded back to him. He mentioned Dr. Ben, who talked about Africa, Al-Kebulon. In reading a lot of the older history books now, you see where they mention Al-Kebulon, they'll say Al-Kebulah. Isaiah 62:4, I believe it is, where Yahweh mentions Yisrael and the land of Beulah. So a lot of our people don't know that some of these words had to be even in the Hebrew language, even in the Aramaic, and some of the other African languages, a little word here was added like the, or this, or whatever the case may be, was added so that it slightly changed, but yet because the tongue was sometimes a derivative of other mother languages, the language base or the root word was still the same. So Doc Ben says that Al-Kebulon was the name of the land. Some of the books I've read on it, I can go back to the others, Peter Gross and a couple others, the older books say Al-Kebulah. It means land of the people married to Yah. So poetically, they say, land of the people married to Yah. Whenever Israel address Yahweh in such a beautiful way, so poetically, but they cut the name to Yah. That's like people cut your name. They say, hey, Dave, how you doing? Some people are answer to that. Very few people, but some are answer to that because I know it's just a term of endearment. So it's the same for Yahweh. So if it means the land of the married people, when he reminds Israel that he's married to us, he says through Jeremiah the prophet 3:14, turn, O backsliding children of Israel, for I am married unto you. But he didn't stop there. He says, I will take you, one of a city and two of a family, and bring you to Zion. Now, Zion means a castle. So this is the king talking about marrying you. You become his queen, and you go to his castle. This is what the whole world hates. Think about it. Them, they're the chosen ones. They will. Well, we look at you. You rule in the world. We say, them, they think they're supposed to rule the world forever. Them, who can't get along with nobody. Them, who make some of the most hideous creations in all the earth. Them. We said the same thing about you, you say about us. But at any rate, right now, them are in charge. And them are going to get it. And us going to sit back safely in Yahshua and watch.
Yeah.
Okay? We're going to watch. Popcorn is edible. As long as it ain't during the Passover, we're going to bring the popcorn. Y'all going to get it. Nobody can't tell them nothing. In the 14th day of this month at even, ye shall keep it in his appointed season. According to all the rites of it, and according to all the ceremonies thereof, ye shall keep it. You hear now? According to all the rites and all the ceremonies of it, you shall keep it. Remember, in Exodus chapter 12, he gave them all the rites of it. Now, in fact, let me stop real quick and go back to Exodus because there's something that needs to be pointed out there, okay? Okay, got it. You know what? Wait a minute. Oh. Not yet. If I read this now, I'll get ahead of myself. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Anyway, let's go back. Let's go back. Numbers 9. In the 14th day of this month at even, you should keep it in his appointed season. Verse 4. And Moshe spake unto the children of Israel that they should keep the Passover. And they kept the Passover, check the date now, on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness of Sinai. Now, I've read the literature of some assemblies of Yahweh, and I've read one. I was going over it earlier today, and the literature said, I won't quote it because I won't put that assembly at odds with us, but I ain't afraid to say what I'm going to say. Genesis shows us how to count Yahweh's calendar. You can't count Yahweh's calendar this way, this day, and then when it comes to the Passover, now you count it another way. You don't shift that, okay? Let's do this. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, Elohim created heaven and earth. Okay, that's what went down. He created it, right? And the earth was without form and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Yahweh moved upon the face of the waters. Correct? And Elohim said, let there be light. And there was light. Now, we know who the light is. We know also, he says through Shalomo in Proverbs 8:22, he says, Yahweh possessed me from the beginning of his way. He always existed. He always was there. But from the very beginning of all this, what are the three words? In the beginning. Remember the little African man reading? He couldn't say that at that time. In the beginning. Remember that? Y'all ever see that? He couldn't get it together. But anyway, in the beginning, he created the heaven and earth. Right down here in verse 3, he said, let there be light. So our Yahshua is the light of the world. And Elohim saw the light, that it was Tah. And Elohim divided the light from the darkness. So now we can't walk in darkness and say we know him. See, some hate us because of this darkness. And they misreading it, thinking that they are the light. But if you are the true light, how then do you bring such darkness to the world? When the scripture says, let your light so shine. But everything they do is evil. Bomb everybody. Poison everybody. drug everybody, rob, name it, they done it. And if you name it and they ain't done it, now you're in trouble. You done created a problem because you done brung up something they didn't do. What? Oh, we'll do that next week then. And now let him call the light Yom, or day. And the darkness he called night, Lahil. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Now, as you read throughout this chapter, every time he does something, every time something's created, he gives you the time of day. And he keeps saying, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So I'm reading the literature of one of the Assemblies of Yahweh, and it's telling the people how to keep the Passover. And it's telling you, now when you come to the end of the 14th day at evening, you keep the Passover, and you go straight into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Don't make me prove it to you, because I certainly will. But at any rate, I read that, and I made a note on it. I said, that's wrong. That's wrong. I said that to myself. It's wrong. You don't do that. Because, again, this is why we put this chart here. I was going to move this morning. Spirit, let me know you leave that there. I'm going to leave this up for the duration of the feast because Israel really needs to see this and grab the concept of that. Yahshua couldn't have taken the feast or the Passover as the end of the 14th day came to a close because, let's use this term, it was illegal for him to be hanging the next day. Can we use that term safely? It was illegal. Even the Yehudim sinning and calling for his death tried to keep the law and knew, don't the Shakir or the false prophets and the chief priests, they knew, don't do this on a feast day, lest there be an uproar among the people. Now they had to fulfill the law by killing him at his appointed season. You understand? It couldn't go any other way, neither can the time be shifted to make it convenient for us. That's the problem with the Jewish calendar to this day, because they shift the calendar. Anybody ever stopped and asked, how do you have New Year twice in a year? You ever really thought about that? Right around Shofar, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, a group of people running around in every time about the Jewish New Year. So that's 7 months. So let me see if I got this straight, because this gets crazy. You have a new year in the 7th month after you had a new year in the 1st month. Then you turn right around and throw the other 5 months away because now you've added a month to get a new year. Then you come back 6 months later, and you're hollering, Happy New Year. And it starts all over again. Now think about what I just said and tell me I'm wrong. So you got 2 New Years in the month, in the 1st month and the 7th month. Then you go from the 7th month to 13th month. And we as confused Hebrews, we out here rolling with them on this. And ain't nobody asking no questions. So I got to come like the movie. Now I got to be the spook who sat by the door. Get the information, bring it back to the community. Ain't that what the theme of the movie was about? He came back with all his knowledge and he trained the people in his community to defend. So I'm coming back to the community and I'm going to train my brothers and sisters down. This is what Yahweh's word says. Because somebody who ain't you, saying that they are you, trying to convince you you ain't you because they are now you. And if that sounds confusing, good. That's why I want it to be. So that you'll see what they trying to do to you and I, right? You ain't you. Because you was up Park Heights. You understand? And though you ain't up Park Heights, you was up Park Heights because you ain't you. Because they is you. And you is nobody. You get that? Yes, sir. Sound crazy, don't it? Yes, sir. Thank you. It is crazy. When you dealing with the devil, that's how it goes. And people get mad and say that. See, a lot of times, this is the only thing to stop a bully. The same exact methodology that a bully uses. It's the only thing that'll stop him. See, people like that get mad and want to fight. See, people like me, I be prepared when they come and they want to fight. So, nah, look, I'm telling you right now, we ain't backing down. We ain't having none of that today. That's how we have to stand and defend the word of Yahweh. Because somebody's lying and they determine, you better do what I say. Who are you that we have to do what you say? When the scripture says it is better to obey Yahweh than to obey men. See, I'm with the messengers of Yahweh. The way, remember how I read to you how Yahweh was a poor little man, come out there and go out and fight against the other people, even though he went out there to die. In the end, he went to the man and asked him, where your mouth at? Now, where all that mouth that you had? See, that's what they do to our leadership. They tell our leadership all the time, shut up. And they shut right up and go along with it. They run to Rite Aid or Revco or Walmart and they buy a calendar. And whatever date is on the calendar, that's when they say that's the Pesach. So you done threw all the other feast days of the year off because you can't count. So if you think that's confusing, you got to ask them, how you get out of high school? They should have locked the door the moment you came in. If you that stupid, they should have never let you leave. Because you don't know if the new year is 12 months or 7 months or 13 months. Sounds crazy, don't it? You're going to have to play this back to understand what I'm saying. I told y'all I got a mind where I ain't confused saying it to you. Even though it sounds confusing, I ain't confused because that's the seed of deception. What do I always say about Shaitan? His work is designed to deceive, confuse, and destroy. Even Yisrael. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even. Where were they at? In the wilderness of Sinai. According to all that Yahweh commanded Moshe, so did the children of Israel. And there were certain men. Check this out now. This is how wise Israel was. This is only their second time keeping the Passover. But already they knew enough about cleanliness to check this out, how they enacted the law. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moshe and before Aaron on that day. And these men said unto him, we are defiled by the dead body of a man, for which cause we are kept back, that we may not offer the offering of Yahweh in his appointed season among the children of Israel. So they're saying, in other words, now look, we went and buried somebody, we touched the body, all that, we knew the laws of cleanliness or what have you, but why are we kept back? Moshe said unto them, stand still, and I will hear what Yahweh will command concerning you. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, if any man of you or his posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he should keep the Passover unto Yahweh. The 14th day of the second month, at even they shall keep it, and eat with it unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it until the morning, nor break any bone of it. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it. But the man that is clean, or is not in a journey, and forbear, and will refuse to keep the Passover, even that same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of Yahweh in his appointed season. That man shall bear his sin. See how it works? That's the rule for a second Passover. I had a minister jump on me about that. A preacher in Yahweh, he jumped on me about it because I mentioned the second Passover. And he didn't know nothing about it. Sounds like, what book you got? How you get to this chapter and that's missing? If you get to this book and this chapter missing, then you got to throw that book away. Now, let's go real quick, Israel, to 2 Chronicles. I want to pick up on something here. Because Yahweh's people really, can you do me a favor real quick? Turn that down. You can drop that back to at least about 75. I'm up here burning like a baked potato. People be, y'all smell Elder Johnson? Scripture say don't wear nothing to make you sweat. He up there cooking. You got to hear this. Pay attention to this date. 2 Chronicles chapter 29. Hezekiah began to reign when he was 25 years old. Young man. This is beautiful now. He's a young man. And he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Abiah, the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of Yahweh, according to all that David his father had done. Now this is the key to all your success. Pay attention to that. Do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. Okay? That's how you be successful. He, in the first year of his reign, listen now, in the first month, opened the doors of the house of Yahweh and repaired them. And he brought the priests and the Levite and gathered them together into the east street. Now, it's imperative that we understand why they did it in the east street, the side that faced the temple, coming in from the east. Remember now, who enters the temple from the east gate? All right, but before you get to that name, it's another name. Okay. All right. You got me? You with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yahweh always entered by the east. When you see that east wind and all those things in Israel, pay attention. He came from the east. Y'all got that? Yeah, he's coming, but he sent him. He and he are one. It's just he came from he. Got it? All right, let's go on with this. You got to hear what happened now. He brought the priests and the Levite and gathered them together into the east street. This is symbolic of him coming now. And he said unto them, Hear ye me, Levite, sanctify yourselves now, and sanctify the house of Yahweh your Elohim, and carry forth the filthiness out of the Kodesh place. For our fathers have trespassed and done that which was evil in the eyes of Yahweh our Elohim, and have, what did I say earlier? Forsaken him. And have turned away their faces from the habitation of Yahweh and turned their backs. They have also shut up the doors of the porch and put out the lamps, and have not burned the incense nor offered burnt offerings in the Kodesh place unto the Elohim of Israel. For which cause, see, there's that word again, wherefore. Remember those men says, for this is the reason we're kept back. We touched the dead body. Well, this is the reason the wrath of Yahweh was upon Yehudah and Jerusalem. And he hath delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as ye see with your eyes. For lo, our fathers have fallen by the sword, and our sons and our daughters and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in mine heart to make a covenant with Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, for Yahweh hath chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, and that you should minister unto him and burn incense. Y'all following this? What month is this? The month of Abib. This is the first month of the year. Jump down a little bit. Verse 17. Now they began on the first day of the first month to sanctify. On the 8th day of the month came they to the porch of Yahweh. So they sanctified the house of Yahweh in 8 days. And on the 16th day of the first month they made an end. What's the problem here? They missed the Passover. You get it? This is the 16th day of the month. They missed the Passover. When is the first great day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread? The 15th day of the month. Which means that even on a Kodesh day, they were so hurried trying to get it done, they were working on a Kodesh day. But it was our fault because we had sinned. Remember what he said over here now, that our fathers have sinned, our sons, our daughters, and our wives are now in captivity because of our sin. So on the first day of the month, he called everybody. Says, we got to get this house right. They were all unclean. Y'all paying attention? Let's go a little further now. Then they went into Hezekiah the king and said, we have cleansed all the house of Yahweh and the altar and the burnt offerings and all the vessels thereof and the showbread table with all the vessels thereof. Moreover, all the vessels which King Ahaz and his reign did cast away in his transgression have we prepared and sanctified, and behold, they are before the altar of Yahweh. Then Hezekiah king rose early and gathered the rulers of the city and went up to the house of Yahweh. And they brought 7 bullocks, 7 rams, 7 lambs, 7 he-goats for a sin offering for the kingdom and for the sanctuary and for Yehudah. And he commanded the priests, the sons of Aaron, to offer them on the altar of Yahweh. They go into all this. They did the killing. They set everything in place. Skip a couple verses. Let's look at verse 24. And the priests killed them, and they made reconciliation with their blood upon the altar to make an atonement for all of Israel. For the king commanded that the burnt offering and the sin offering should be made for all Israel. And he set the levy in the house of Yahweh with cymbals, with psalteries, and with harps, according to the commandment of David and of God, the king seer. Notice, I'm not talking about G-O-D, God. This man's name is pronounced G-A-W-D, God. Are you hearing me? We pronounce it a lot of times. We don't want to say God, so when we say Gad, okay, no, we got to really say it the way it was in the Hebraic tongue, okay? So that's the purpose of saying that. Verse 31. Then Hezekiah answered and said, now you have consecrated yourselves unto Yahweh. Come near and bring sacrifices and thank offerings unto the house of Yahweh. And the congregation brought in sacrifices and thank offerings, and many as were of a free heart, burnt offerings. They missed the first month. Turn to the 30th chapter. I want you to get into this. Because, see, sometimes people are not paying attention to the seriousness of the time. You ever notice in the history of your life, from the youngest in the room to the oldest, have these heathens ever missed Christmas? You ain't never woke up and they say, look, y'all, we didn't pop. Look, we got to do Christmas in January 25th because we messed up this year. We was over there fighting in Iraq. We was bombing stuff. We got to. Have they ever missed it? So we missed Yahweh's great days. 2 Chronicles chapter 30. And Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Yehudah, and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh, that they should come to the house of Yahweh at Jerusalem to keep the Passover unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel. For the king had taken counsel, and his princes, and all the congregation of Jerusalem, to keep the Passover in the second month. So you see now how we divided, because these people tell us that the second month is the 13th month, which is actually now the first month of the year. And they throw our people off with this. We are following somebody that Yahweh never spoke to. If you don't have to miss this, then don't miss it. Because as we read in Numbers, he plainly said, the one that just refused to do it, cut off. Now, Yahweh was able to forgive us of our sins and our ignorances and things like that. But somewhere along the line, when we learn to do a thing and do it better, we don't have no choice but to do right. Which brings me to an interesting and most beautiful point. Your breathing, your heart rate, your relaxation, your stress levels, none of that stuff can fall in line till you really start obeying Yahweh. Yahweh will allay all those things. You ever, listen, just a survey. This is nothing bad, but just tell yourself the truth. You ever just went home, you just couldn't rest, or you couldn't get enough sleep, or you just couldn't do certain things the right way, and yet you don't know why? It is because of our sin. The more we draw close to Yahweh, and I'm not talking in self-imposed righteousness, just simply learning it, striving to keep it without being overly zealous, just learning and learning to do it. See how you sleep at night. See how your food tastes. Check your heart rate, your blood pressure. Because now you're doing what he commands you to do, and you have that shalom. Great peace have they that love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Even your own heart rate, your own breathing rate, everything about you is so well refined in Yahshua that even to the hoary head, as you go to the grave, you are now relaxed, where you can pick up the mantle and say the things that Eob said. You say, though after the skin worm destroy this body, yet I know in my flesh I shall see Yahweh. You get the difference? That's living. This is why a lot of times you see people, I hate to bring this point up, but let me bring it up to make a point. I work with a man, I don't give a damn if he see this. This is Yahweh's word. He's a fornicator, got a wife, fornicate, got a woman, and a baby across town. So he got a work like a dog, work, just run. You got to pay for all this stuff. So even in the rain, I will shut my crew down. But he insisted he got to be out there. And I said, well, you got to take into account the laborers that are out here in the elements. You sitting up in a machine all day. You can shut the door, close the window. You got heat, you got the radio. You just want to work. But they got to be out in the rain. Consider them. And I said to the man, you have a restless soul. Just can't stay home with his wife. Can't stay home. Please. I get off work, I come home. If I don't see her when I come to it first, what's the first thing I say? Woman, where you at? That's our nickname for each other. Man, woman. So that's what we do. Or if it's a day when it's raining and I ain't got to, I don't leave. And if I do leave my house, I'm up here. I'm not afraid or ashamed to be with my Isha. She's my best friend. So I'm looking like, you can never stay home. You don't never talk about relaxing with your wife and your children and all this stuff. I mean, I know it's secret, but I called them out. So you just have a restless soul. Sleep a couple hours every night, get up, ready to be on the job. So I ain't got to start work till 7 o'clock. Out there at 5:30. Yeah, just sitting, drinking coffee, just can't rest. And I've come to learn we cannot rest until we come to the perfect rest. Brother Joe Carter, this was so beautiful today. And brother, if you're watching, I do apologize. I didn't get a chance to respond. Brother sent the beautiful Shabbat message today. And he checked in with us Shabbat from time to time anyway. A lot of us at Israel, we all tend to do that. But this was his Shabbat message today. And like I said, I was working on last minute notes of this message. So beautiful. This was his text this morning at 10:12. Shabbat Shalom, family. Enjoy your rest. Exodus 33:14. My presence will go with you and I will give you rest. I thought that was so beautiful. Brother, I thank you on behalf of Yahweh and Yahshua and the house of Israel for just simply thinking of us. And may Yah grant you all as well a perfect, beautiful rest. We as Israel don't know rest till we come to Yahweh and start being able to rest in him, sure enough. Hear what I say? So this is why the world's so all up in arms. Whereas you and I, we're going to have to learn to calm down. You want to do stuff. Some stuff you want to do, no, don't do it. Stay still. Pesach coming now. All right? So let me see if I got this straight. He says that they rested and set this up for the second month, for they could not keep it at that time because the priests had not sanctified themselves sufficiently. Neither had the people gathered themselves together to Jerusalem. And the thing pleased the king and who? All the congregation. So they established a decree to make proclamation throughout all Israel, from Beersheba even to Dan, that they should come to keep the Passover unto Yahweh our Elohim at Jerusalem, for they had not done it of a long time in such sort as it is written. In other words, they went through the procedure, clean this place up, get this thing together, do everything we do, and they did not rush to do it. Anytime you were cleaning and getting everything straight, and by the 8th day, you hit the doors of the porch, that's a serious cleaning. And I always think of that with the clean team we have here. Told y'all for the kindness of the Hodis that do here and do the thing they supposed to do in Yahweh's name. I told Yahweh even for them. A lot of times y'all don't even know what go on here. A lot of times we don't know. But hey, brothers, now look, let's be real about this. Who y'all think really cleaned that sanctuary back in those days? The men, the priesthood. You understand? Now you all see why I get on men. A lot of times men, they come here and I teach and preach things. They don't like what I preach and teach. Manhood is not insulted by the word of Yahweh. Our womanly ways are insulted by the word of Yahweh. That's true. Men get offended at the word of Yahweh. It's because we got them old weak ways. And does not the word of Yahweh say that men have become weak like women? And that is no insult to the women. Because women are strong in their own strength in Yahshua. Men don't understand. And if you don't, go ask your wife, look, I want to trade places with you. Next baby we have, I'm going to have it. Try your hand. I guess I shouldn't have said that. In this world, you know, the wicked, they out here. On the news, it was just family, right? They got this little child, about 8 years old. So they talking the child into transgenderism and all this other stuff. So the principal at the school, they invite him to their house because he's got to make the recommendations with the hospital and all this other stuff. So he came to the house, he ate dinner with the family and everything, posed with them, took pictures and all that. Now, he never said he was agreeing to all of it. He came to the house to see how they live and check their lifestyle and all this other stuff. But his recommendation was families like this should not exist. Because trying to impose transgenderism upon this child who we know ain't capable of making this type of decision, it constitutes abuse. And I agree with the man. So the little woman went on, we're not abusive. He knows this and that. He ate dinner. He broke bread with us. He should have. Never mind. Anyway. Yeah, the hospital. Yeah, the hospital was going to do the surgery. When he made the recommendation, they was like, you know what? Nah, we ain't going along with that. You know what? He's right. Put it on hold. We ain't transgender with no children. This is the type of world we in now. And they making it so you can't speak out. That's a fight. It's a sin. So the little white man stood up and said, nah, families like this should not exist. She got mad because he said that. Look how y'all decreed that we, as the people of Yahweh, simply trying to serve y'all. We don't want no parts in a lot of this stupid stuff y'all doing in society. So then your rules are, well, you're going to take our stuff from us. You can't buy, you can't sell unless you got our mark. Or we'll take everything from you. We're going to take your house, take your car, take this, take that, confiscate. It's going to get down to that. Yahweh's poor little people are going to start thinking Yahweh has forsaken them. No, we got a lot of sin we really do have to pay for. And each and every generation, ain't nothing going to change till Yahshua comes. Whatever generation you are allowed in and slated to be born in that generation, you got to go through the payment methodology of that generation. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? If they went from cash to debit cards and all that, then that's the payment methodology you use. If the payment in the days of Moshe and Aaron was circumcision of our children and all this and wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, then that was the payment method that was used. Well, our payment method now, these people are closing the ranks. They think they own the earth. They think it's all theirs. And those of us that are alive in the latter days, we're going to suffer at their hand. But nevertheless, Yahweh said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So you have to gather up some strength, because in the days that you are weak, it is his strength that will make you perfect. That's why I say here today that when we serve Yahweh and keep the Passover now, you ain't got a whole lot of assemblies you can run to and travel to and keep the Passover and different things. Yisrael, truth be told, you ain't got to run up and down the road finding a place to go keep the Passover. Look, Yahshua and the disciples were the ones that Yahweh chose. But did it ever occur to you somebody else was in charge of the temple, even in his day? He did not have command of his father's house. When he kept his own memorial service supper, it was in a privately rented room. And one of the greatest things he said to you and I that night, he said, this do, as often as you do it, or as often as you drink this, you do this in remembrance of me. See, Yahweh let me a few years ago stop trying to broadcast the Passover, trying to show everybody everything. It's just a dinner. Real quick, by show of hands, how many of you wouldn't mind? I guess I should phrase it differently. How many of you would allow me, just for sake of doing it, to just come to your house any given day of the week and film you eating, so I can put it on my Facebook page? His mother said, put your hand down. Is that what you said to him? I gotta tell that for the people at home. Dear brother, he loved me, I love him. Brother, he honored, he put his hand up. Yeah, you can feel me. Well, as he put his hand, I seen his mother's head go. And I could almost read her expression, put your hand down. And it's true. You really wouldn't want it. You ain't doing but sitting there eating. You ever eat something all in your teeth? When you eat and you forgot to wipe your mouth, food there. You know, a lot of times people ain't gonna tell you nothing. You can, you know, I know you do. I'm yours, you mine. So that's the end of this conversation. How your grandson do it? Point here. If social media were around in the day of Yahshua, who you all think would have been trying to film it? Bingo. Thank you. Who said that first? Jews would have been filming it. Look, y'all, he's over here. I'm going to film it. I'm going live in about 5 minutes. Just check my page. And he'd have filmed it, right? And he'd have zeroed in on Yahshua, so he wouldn't have had to say, he whom I kiss is he. He just, the one I zero in on, the one with the bread, he the one. You understand? So everything ain't always for social media. So y'all would let me a few years ago, no, we're going to stop. I forget the Passover. Then again, I got to bring it up. It's out. You see what happened with the last Passover supper we filmed here. You see what happened. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Okay, you go back and look at it from 2018 and you get it, you get it. You don't, you don't. But I don't film it anymore. We'll go live here the night of the Passover supper. We'll go live for no more than 5 minutes. It doesn't even make a difference who makes the announcement. We'll go live right around the setting of the sun. We'll offer prayer real quickly. Then we'll just go into the Passover supper. You can do that at the blessedness of your own home. If you live alone in your little apartment or your little one-room house, I don't care if you got a barn in the back of the trees in the woods somewhere. If you're the only one there, you prepare your little meal. You thank Yahweh for your meal. Look, you take a bath, you wash your feet anyway. So there you have it. You ain't got to worry about nobody washing your feet. Wash your own feet. If it's two of you, you're in humility. You honor each other. You wash one another's feet. Wipe them. You show honor and courtesy, reminded of what Yahshua did for them. You hear me? He said, when you do this in remembrance of me. This is the greatest sacrifice of all. That's all this was. See, the difference between Yahshua's Last Supper was that it meant something. And you and I know how our Last Suppers work out. You know, Grandma and all of them. This one show up. That one show up. Ain't nobody bring nothing. This one want to take a plate home. That one do something. Grandma get mad and say, look, you know what? I hate all y'all. That's it. This the Last Supper. And she don't have no more supper in the house. Big Mama through with all of you. We don't do it that way. You hear what I'm saying? And that's what we're going to have to learn. Because trust me on this, and if it ever come to pass, whether I'm alive or whether I'm around you, just remember, Elder Johnson did say these days are coming, where you just quietly do what you do. I'm not a gambling man, but I'd be willing to bet you somebody somewhere in Ukraine that knows the Most High, in the midst of all that turmoil, trying to do what they got to do, and they ain't broadcasting. Hey, we're over here. Watch that bomb. Get back. Boom. Okay, there you go. Come on. We're over here. We're keeping the feast. They're not. Social media has made everybody think they're a superstar, or made everybody think they got the potential to be one. I got to do this video. This video got to get tens and tens of views. I think it's what the man said. But at any rate, we got to know. We really got to just calm down and do this, right? The 10 Commandments in your Bible, ain't it in your Torah? Do you ever open it up and hear the 10 Commandments just blaring out loud? They just as quiet as they are with the book opened or closed. You still got to do it, right? That's all it takes. Israel would look up and realize they were in error, and they always had a man, an advocate somewhere. Learn the role of your prophets, your priest, and your king. Their role is to help maintain the integrity of the nation. That's the role of them, to draw us back in times of deep spiritual declension or decline. When we're going wrong, the role of the messengers to pull us back, get us right back on the path. And though you may hate them and despise them, if you say you love Yahweh long enough, their hate is going to turn into love for them men. Because you're going to look up and realize they want to get it right because they know they have a penalty to pay, and they don't want you to pay that penalty. Neither do they want to pay that penalty. Right or wrong? That's the purpose of it. Israel is the only nation, and I observe us carefully. You pay attention to it. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but somehow, some way, they don't publicize it. But we are the only nation that lives to be at odds with our leadership. Think about us. We're the only that we got to be at odds with. If he say something, how he know? People always, yeah, the Spirit led me to do this, Spirit led me to do that. Yeah, I was in the market, Spirit led me to get this tomato paste over that tomato paste. Come on now. This is the type of stuff we into. Because everybody say the Spirit leading them. When the Spirit of the Almighty is leading us and he is upon all of us, the scripture says they shall lift up the voice together. They shall sing when they shall see eye to eye, when Yahweh brings again Zion. When Israel is seeing eye to eye, oh, trust me on this one. Somebody's going to rejoice over Israel and rejoice with singing. And that's a song you don't want to miss. Make your reservations now. Are you catching this? Because Yahweh said he's going to rejoice over you with singing. Come on, Israel. That's got, man, that day and that day alone, man, ain't nothing in all the universe going to be like that day. He rejoiced over you. You are back. Come on, man. We don't know the word of Yahweh like we ought to, man. We play too much with him. And this is why I keep telling people, calm down. Let's get to know Yahweh. Because when you get to know Yahweh, you get to know how beautiful he is. You get to know what his, if I got to use this term, you get to know the things that put you on his bad side. You know the things he likes and does not like. Yahweh's word opens us up to his personality. You hear what I say? It opens us up to his personality. You ever see couples that get married and after 10 years, I ain't even going to take 5 years, they don't like each other no more? You know why? Anybody ever figured out why? Because they never really truly got to know one another. They never were truly open and honest. They hid little stuff. Some of the smallest little stuff that eventually is going to come out anyway, they try to hide it as long as they can. And then when it really do come out, now you realize you don't like that person. And now sometimes they feel like they stuck together. Oh man, I go home. I had a brother like that. I worked with him. I had to shut him down. I said, look, hold. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about you fighting with your wife and all, because I don't go through that in my house. So I really don't want to hear it from you because I really don't like your vibe. He said, oh, so now you don't like me. I'm not saying I don't like you. I'm saying I don't like your vibe. I don't like the spirit that's emanating from you because I'm aware of what it's doing. That spirit now is seeking to jump on me, to create a disdain in my heart for my best friend. And the brother got offended because I said it. Well, see, everybody argues and everybody. I said, well, I don't know about that. I come up and I ain't see my father and mother arguing each other, going all at each other's throat and all this. And I learned something about manhood from my father. I told him, but I said, my father made decisions. He made the final decision in all things without being arrogant and dogmatic, because the final decision that he made was always the decision that had to work out in the best interest of everyone, not just himself. You understand? That's how we have to be as men and women when we guide and govern our houses. Our decisions have to be based upon the final decision that he made. He gave us law on how to live. So let's go with the final decision of all things. And as we try to do it, again, that heart rate goes down. Anger management. Yahweh's Torah is anger management. Yahweh's Torah is that aspirin or that headache medicine you need. Yahweh's Torah, it is that high blood pressure medication. When we obey Yahweh, he promised to Baruch us in all things. So that we ain't got to put on no show. What's the Passover look? Right? What's the unleavened bread look? You don't have to put that look on when you look like you keeping the Passover. Is there some special Passover look? No. You keep it and you delight in Yahweh, and he delight in you. Oh, look at my beautiful till they're falling in line. People don't want you to say nothing to them today. And I've been there. I know the feeling. Okay? I know the feeling. I've been out there in the street a little bit. One ain't raised in no club life or none of those stupid stuff. Here come the devil. Hey, boy. You know that scripture stuff? Yeah, you need to experience this. Come over here with me. Let me show you a little bit about life. And you're a Hebrew child. You're stupid. Your parents teaching you. You're young. You think you know everything already. But the reality is you're stupid. Now ask me how I know. So anyway, you get out there, the devil, he get teaching you stuff. You get hooked up with the world. You get to looking at all this dumb stuff. It's so enticing. You get so dizzy. You don't even know what decision to make. Then you look up 5, 10 years later, the devil done made all your decisions for you and direct your life.
So true.
And like that couple that's always fussing and fighting in the house, y'all ain't gonna fuss and fight with you. He got one rule, get out.
Yep.
That's the rule. So then you get yourself together, you come, oh, please, 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 oh, please take me back, take me back. I'm talking about myself now. Please, 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 take me back, take me back. He have mercy, he take you back. But now you come in, you got this little man, he preaching, he teaching. It's your parent, you love him. He preaching, he teaching, he hitting hard. You loving the stuff he's saying. All right, yeah, hallelujah. Till he hit that one note that hit on you. Now that hallelujah becomes, damn it. Did I hear somebody speaking from experience? My mouth just jumped in the sanctuary. So y'all, that was smooth ventriloquism, wasn't it? True, but we'll talk after service. But that's how I found my father was laying some bombshells, man. Stuff I had done out in the club, stuff I hadn't repented of, and remind me of it. And I'm mad now. Devil, hey, devil come in the temple too.
Yeah, you do.
He get right in your vessel now while you sitting there, because the word is banging on you to make you get right. And you, oh, we praying on that. No, you know we love them sermons with the word hitting on the white man. Bing, bang, boom, pow, international pow, pow, boom, bam, yeah. Now the word hitting on that black man. Yeah, you ain't doing this for your family. You ain't doing that. You won't serve y'all like, here you go with that again. Make me sick. No, he's trying to heal you. And we don't want that. I'm so glad that y'all would literally knock the devil out of me. In such a way where y'all would have to wound you in order to make you alive. And you get up and realize, I thank Yahweh for that. I don't thank him that I had to sin or transgress or anything of that nature, but I thank him that he loved me enough to chastise me.
Hallelujah.
You ever had one of them chastisements from your parents? Now, I ain't gonna get a lot of hands on this. You ever had one of them chastisements from your parent where they knock some humility into you? When now you want to do the dishes, and you want to put all your energy in. You want to do the dishes so well and so sweet now. And yeah, I got it, mama. And now you want to do that. I get it. Now you want to be humble because you get that whooping. You ever had one of them?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk. I'm not saying this stuff just to make you laugh. I'm telling you that that's how the word of Yahweh is. He has to chastise us. And a lot of times we can't take the chastisement. We get mad. People leave, they run away, or do whatever because they really don't want Yahweh's word. They want all the smooth, sweet stuff. But we didn't always do all the smooth, sweet things. So then we don't deserve the smooth, sweet rubbing on our head or the patting us on the back. Yahweh said, we're not going to bluff our way into Yahweh's kingdom. We're really going to have to work at it. You're really going to have to fight to get it done. And you will learn that the more you strive to do it, the easier living becomes. That's the key. That's what made my father and a lot of those older matriarchs and patriarchs of old in my lifetime, which means your contemporary. Though some of them are gone now, within the span of a 100-year period of time, they were your contemporary. That's what made so many of them so sure, so self-confident in Yahshua. When they had nothing, they were just as happy. Elder Jones told us a story about how Yahweh, he took the roof off his house, he gonna put a new roof on. And then the clouds got black because the rain was coming in. And Elder Jones told that story, and I always believed it from the moment he said it. Sister Charlene, she recently passed away. She told the story. Sister Carolyn, she told Brother Deke, they told the story. It rained. And Elder Jones said he prayed so hard that y'all would not let it rain in his house. They say the rain walked down the street and it rained all around the house. And it did not rain in that house. He ain't had to tell me that story 20 and 30 times. I believed it because he told it with a level of conviction, because that's what Yahweh had done for him among many things. Elder Johnson, Elder Carson, others, many, they had testimonies of wonderful things that Yahweh did for them, just like we can read in this book. And you and I can go through the same thing. Some of us haven't lived long enough to have really had a testimony in Yahweh yet. You hear me? Sometimes you've been through and you don't even know he's been right there with you. You just don't know it. You hear what I'm saying? You've been through stuff you don't even know. You've been right there in danger and you just don't know it. He done delivered you from sicknesses, disease, all kinds of stuff. You've been right there and you just don't know. You're so unthankful because you're looking at all this stupid stuff on TV, or you see stuff your friends and your neighbors got, and you're lusting after the same things that they had. No, we got to press on for something higher. That's what we got to do. You hear me? Let's get this in real quick. Ezra 6:16. Now, remember this, right? I'm going to take a break real quick and show you all something that I want to read some of these ingredients for the Passover, because it's just so, it's so unique. Ezra chapter 6. Let's get this here. Beginning right around the 16th verse. Listen to this. And this house was finished, verse 15, on the 3rd day of the month of Adar, which was in the 6th year of the reign of Darius the king. Now, I want y'all to hear this now. The house was finished on the 3rd day of the month of Adar. Anybody know by chance what month that is? Exactly. Adar is the 12th month, which falls somewhere in that February-March time cycle. I want you to understand that. We will really have to get into some in-depth Bible lessons to show you all how the moon cycle comes about, how it shifts, goes forward a few days over the years, and then a few days back over the years. And if you watch it, and if we ever got some time where we can really sit down, I'm going to pull out those little calendars and the paper calendars and other things. I will show you all the feast days of how the different assemblies, almost every 7 years, this is exactly what happens. Every 7 years, everybody's on point like this. But by the time you get to that first year after the 7th year, we slightly like that. Somebody's going back this week and somebody's going back that week. The next year, you kind of like that. The 3rd year, you kind of like that. 4th year, you kind of like that. 5th year, you come back. 6th year, you come back. 7 years like that. Almost every 7 years, we always seem to get online. I have to really sit down, perhaps with a team of you all, and we go over them calendars that I got. Some of them calendars go back about 35 years, and we go over it enough. We got enough 7s in 35 where we can probably catch what's going on. Because you would have to look at the every 4 years, is it, when they add the leap year and all that stuff. You'd have to factor all that in as to how in the world do you all keep getting this stuff to line up. Look, check this out. There is no way Yahshua could have been put to death on a Friday. Then you all call it a Good Friday. And then he get up at the end of the Shabbat as it dawned toward the first day of the week. Because if anybody's looking at the so-called global calendar now, Passover falls on a Friday in April and in March. First great day of Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now, the way they got it structured, look at April and see if April, that Friday, ain't what they call Good Friday. Now, Good Friday is paganism and all that. You don't find Good Friday nowhere in the scriptures. How in the hell do you all get it to fall on a Friday like that if you didn't really calculate and push some stuff around like that? You understand? Same way I said about the barley for the first Pesach, he destroyed it everywhere except in Goshen where Yisrael was. So much so that they didn't know all of this stuff about now how to do the wave sheaf or all of that. They didn't know because Yahweh didn't go over that with them in chapter 12. So it also says in the law, pay attention, when you are coming to the land, which I shall give you, Then you got to take that barley and that wave sheep. You got to understand they were in the land. Now, I ain't saying don't watch the barley because we're in captivity. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying check the specifics of what Yahweh did, especially for the first one and Yahshua's last one. Because the last one went down so smooth and perfectly without a hitch. If you don't understand all that's taking place in the Old Testament, then you at least follow the instructions of Hamashiach. I think he would know how to do it. Okay? I think he would know how to do it. So much so by the time you get to John, what is that, John 19? She saw him out there. Where have you taken Hamashiach's body? Where have you laid him? That I may go and retrieve him. She thought he was the gardener. What could he have possibly had in his hand to make that woman think he was a gardener? You can make plant those flowers. You can make plant that. What's that you got? You can make plant. Sometimes everybody don't always recognize everything. Are you hearing me? But he did say, touch me not. I have not yet ascended up to my Father. Which raises a question. Was he talking about that full-scale ascension 40 days later? Or was he talking about an ascension that was so private, he had to wave that wave sheep offering, then be back in time enough to catch the apostles eating and mourning? Because by the time he get back, notice, people were allowed to touch him. Somebody doubted so much, I need to see it. You know it was a black man. Come on now, let's be real. You know it was a brother. You know how nosy we are and how we don't believe nothing, right? You can just paint something. I said, don't touch that, I painted it. It's wet. I don't believe that. Gotta touch it, right? I know a certain person last Shabbat saw a hot plate in the dining hall. But just something about life. Person still had to see was it hot. I don't know if anybody caught that or not. Somebody said they saw it. Talking about myself. It's just some stuff in life you just gotta see. So now, one said, except I see his hands and his side, I won't believe. You know who it was. You know how we doubt stuff. Anyway. See, if it would, here it comes. See, if Thomas had been a white man, he wouldn't have wanted to see his hands or feel his side. You know what he'd wanted to do? He'd wanted to replace him. What? I don't need to see his side. I'm him. Yes, me. I'm the one. See my side? Ain't no hole. I healed it. See my hand? Ain't no hole. I healed it. It's me. Get the difference? Then tell me I'm lying. Stop. Tell me I'm lying. See this white supremacist mindset. Got to be on top. Got to be the best. Got to be the baddest. Got to be everything. Even when you are the direct opposite. It's me. I have blonde hair and blue eyes. Well, the book says hair like lamb's wool. Well, skip that part. See this blonde stuff? This is me. I'm strawberry blonde or whatever you call them. Just shut up and believe. I'm here. See, but you didn't say anything yet. Well, don't worry about it. Just believe. Follow me. That's how they got us. Are you hearing me? And I'll tell you something else about them, too. That's what's going to be their undoing. That global religion. They're going to fight over this stuff. That stuff that, what's his name called? The civilizational fault line. Huntington said it was a fault line. I'm going to let you all see this at lunch break. You need to see this. Page 30. Now, all of a sudden, page 30 is jumping around and it can't be found. Here it is. Page 30. Got a little bitty map in it. I'm just showing you all here generally, but that little map. What the little map is, this got a civilizational fault line. This is Russia all the way up the top. This little line comes all the way down. There's Finland on that side, Estonia, Latvia, all that. Russia got half of Belarus, half of Ukraine. You got to understand, this is the line that America came and drew. I'll pass this around, I'll let you see it. And their little prophet, their little messenger said, this is what's going to cause the fight. Because Russia going to come and want their land back. And when they want their stuff back and want to fight, he said that they would be a division And that's what they was going to clash over. Well, not Elizabeth, was it Dobna and little regions over there? Hey, we miss you. We would like to come back home. Putin was like, yeah, I kind of miss you too. Come on home or I'm going to come and get you. Well, did he wait for him or did he go down there to get him? All right. And that's what they're fighting over. And now that religious fault line is drawn between Christendom and stupid-dom and all other dumbs that they got. And I'm telling you, y'all were going to let them duke it out till they destroy one another. You brought this on yourselves. Yahweh said, for our shame we shall have double, and we shall boast ourselves in the riches of the Gentile. You stole it. It wasn't yours no way. Can you imagine that? Ain't no greater joy than getting something back that was taken from you anyway. Years ago, my middle son had a bike taken from him. No kid in the neighborhood took the bike. He let him get a ride. Then he just kept on riding. Took it from him. He come get me. Dad, he took my bike. Oh, he do this. Daddy, go down there. He riding the bike. I said, well, go down there and get your bike. Go get it. I knew what the boy was going to do. He's going to ride up another block. So I went this way and sent my son that way. So when my son couldn't see me, I broke into a trot. I went on up and came around the corner. So I was at the top of the block when the young brother come up with the bike. My son running behind him. Get my bike! Oh, my bike! Oh, get my father! Oh, yeah, this, that, that. The little boy had all kind of expletives for my son about his father and all this stuff. I'm standing at the top block. I hear it all. See? Oh, my bike! So then I step out from behind the wall. I said, give him the bike back. Gave him the bike. So my son get on the bike. He riding away, smiling, and he just pedaling. Now he looking back at me, smiling. So I know the joy of what it feels like when you get something back that's been stolen from you. So Yisrael, all I can do is preach Yahweh's word and give back to you what has been stolen from you. Salvation was ours from the get-go. And when we received it like we ought to, then it is given freely unto all nations. Not them grabbing it, bringing it to us. Though they printed out most of the scriptures all over the earth, they printed it out and printed it out as a testimony against themselves. Now, y'all don't want to talk about that. So we don't have to preach it in hate and racism, because when any nation of people come to Almighty Yahweh, our duty now is to teach them. We ain't training you to be over us. And you never will again. We are training you to serve Almighty Yahweh. God of the Ku Klux Klan ain't never took us in and made no distinctions between us like that. Ku Klux Klan, Jesus ain't never said, stop hanging them little black boys down in them trees you do. Jesus ain't never said, stop aborting them black women's babies and hanging them and killing them and all that. They take our children and throw them out there as alligator bait. Always right, though. No matter what they do, always right. Took Henrietta Lacks, took her cells and figured out some diseases and how to cure stuff, and the woman lives on immortally through her cells that you done scattered and used for all kind of stuff. Always right. Took what don't even belong to you, genetically, splicing, doing stuff. Always right. Shoot you down in the house, sleeping in your own bed. Kick the door in, wrong door, anything. Always right. Took the word of Yahweh, pretended to be you, lied about it, can't keep the command. The land can't even obey that. The land can't accept the fact that they're not real. Always right. And nobody ever questions that. I'm getting older now. I thank Yahweh for the fact that I'm getting older. You know why? Because, see, getting older forces you to restrain yourself a little more. You know what I mean? You get the restraints. See, some of these people make you put your hands on. You know, it's a funny thing about somebody that can't get their air. I kid you not. It's a funny thing when a person suddenly can't breathe. I had a white man do that to me one time before, and I grabbed him. I choked him real quick. What you say? And they was like, come on, let him go. But suddenly, after he could breathe a little bit, he realized, okay, I was wrong. Yeah, I choked him for a split second, just enough to let him know I ain't to be played with. I don't bother people, but I ain't no coward. And Yahweh don't send shepherds out if they cowardly and going to take down on the word and are afraid to tell you, you are Yahweh's chosen people. You ain't got to fight with them. Stand up and do his will. And when they come to you and they are sincere, you're going to have to try the spirit. That's what the book says. Try the spirit to see whether they're of Yahweh. You got to try everybody. Feel them out, as they would say. They do it to you. Remember the little nutcase we had here? Big old home RV out there, big old wide, double wide trailer, took up 2 lanes and talking all this stuff about the commandments. Well, I said, this is a nutcase here. He probably was Dylan Roof granddaddy or somebody. His big old long beard like ZZ Top. Somebody hearing voices. Sometimes the voices be talking about killing him. I said, you heard what? I was sitting down at the dining room. I said, when you hear all this, then he switch up, go into something else. I'll give him a yoke him, I'm throwing him up out of here. Don't come in here with that. We're in that type of world now. That boy sat in that church with them 9 people down in the Carolina. You mean tell ain't nobody think to look at him and check him over real quick? I mean, you all better not let a stranger come up in here and you not look at him close enough and check him out. Please. You're not in that Arab time now. You can just receive everybody. Just, oh, praise him. Oh, shalom. He was alarmed. Notice I said alarmed, meaning all arms. Pulled his gun out and managed to shoot 9 people, didn't he? They took him to Burger King. Isn't that something? You better not shoot a white man with a rubber band. You'd be lucky to make it to a jail. How is it, if this is so true and so fair and so just, how is it the black police ain't shooting white people? Where's if the balance were that fair, then the shootings would just be neutral and all across the board, right? How is it the black man never, oh, pow, pow, pow. I was in fear of my life. So what happened? I saw this big white cockroach. Because you know that's how they see us, like we're a cockroach. I was in fear of my life. Come on, y'all. Somewhere along the line, I have looked at FBI uniform crime statistics for years. And I've always seen the disproportionate murders of us, among other people. But don't nobody talk about it. We all up in their jails, their prisons, and everything. Everybody ain't got to go to prison to get right with Yahweh. Our poor brothers now, that's their number one thing. They go to jail. Go to jail and then learn the word. And then they come out and they want 2 wives. Look, brother, you didn't even have a girlfriend before you went to prison. Now you come home, you think you should have 2 or more. And sell this to the sisters. And the poor little sisters, our communities, Yahweh's word said that it would be that way. Poor little sisters, sometimes they just got to go along with it for the sake of having a body in the bed or a body in the house or somebody to hold the baby while she changed them all. These are the conditions that Yahweh set upon us because we would not obey. Let's get this in, and I want to go over these dates real quick. So the children of Israel, the priests, the Levites, and the rest of the children of the captivity, this is verse 16, kept the dedication of this house of Yahweh with joy, and offered at the dedication of this house of Yahweh 100 bullocks, 200 rams, 400 lambs, and for sin offering, and for all Israel 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. And they set priests in their divisions, and the Levite in their courses for the service of Yahweh, which is at Jerusalem, as it is written in the book of Moshe. And the children of the captivity kept the Passover upon the 14th day of the first month. See how it works out? For the priests and the Levite were purified together. All of them were pure, and killed the Passover for all the children of the captivity, and for their brethren, the priests, and for themselves. And the children of Israel, which will come again out of the captivity, and all such as had separated themselves from the filthiness of the heathen of the land, to seek Yahweh their Elohim, did eat, and kept the feast of unleavened bread 7 days with joy. For Yahweh had made them joyful, and turned their heart of the king of Assyria unto them, to strengthen their hands in the work of the house of Elohim, the Elohim of Israel. See how he made even the king of the foreign nation. Nah, back them up. Go and support them. Sent everything over there that they needed. Now, I got a note in my book here that says, see the footnote of Exodus 12. Now, I'm going right back to Exodus 12. Footnote in this book. This is what you need to hear. Check this out. The Jewish calendar, which is based on lunar months, had its beginning at this time. The first month was called Abib, as mentioned in Exodus 13:4. up until the Babylonian captivity. After that time, it was called Nisan, after one of them Babylonian gods. Pay attention to how the months got their names now. On the modern calendars, it corresponds to the latter part of the March and the first part of April. Sometimes that's that cycle and season and how that thing would hit. We have to know that. It hits in that March, April time frame. And if you watch it real close, just like it did today, ever so often, just prior to that Passover, you get that last little bit of snow and all that other stuff kick in. And that's why I said, nah, I ain't gonna let the weather serve as a deterrent today, because we won't get a chance to tell y'all as people specific things that they need to hear. Such as, when you're cleaning your houses and you're looking at all of these agents like bicarbonates of soda and bicarbonates of ammonia, bread soda, carbonate, hartshorn, there are different ingredients that are leavening and leavening agents. You can look a lot of this stuff up online. This is the best way to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. This is plain and simple. Moshe did not stand up before Israel with a list of leavening agents. Us in the modern age, a lot of time, so many things have been added to life that appear to make life so much easier, when in reality, it made it far more difficult. Leavening is an agent in foods that causes things to rise up. Like you make a cake, Debbie, what's little Debbie Crocker, I don't even know the food's name. But anyway, you cook these cakes, these things rise up. With unleavened bread, it ain't gonna do no rising, okay? It'll heat up, it'll bake, what have you, but it's gonna stay flat and hard. Those were the types of breads that came about as a result of them not having time to knead their dough, to get all of that stuff in place. That's why it was unleavened bread, because they didn't have the time to do it that way. Plus, it symbolized getting all the risings, the things that cause sin to rise up within us. It is a major symbolism of Yahweh that speaks against that. Simple procedure. Rather than go through a whole list of what is and is not, it's 1 week. 1 week. When in doubt, leave out. That's a simple rule for the Passover. I've seen people in the assembly drinking sodas, ginger ale, different stuff. Listen, to not have that for 7 days, it ain't going to kill you. You're not going to die because you can't drink ginger ale. You're not going to die because you weren't sure whether or not you could or could not have macaroni and cheese. It's a processed food. And in the process of processing it, it could have anything in it. Don't waste your time. When in doubt, leave out. It's 7 days. Stop acting like it's 7 years and you got 7 million pounds of food to throw out. I teach here constantly that even in your stockpiles and your reserves and different things, you want to limit the leavened things that you stockpile over the years, or at least be able to, at the end of the Gentile year, right around that December time frame, slack off on your spending, on what you're buying, because it's 7 days, but it is a very significant 7 days. So if you slack off on 11 things that you buy, you don't have a lot to throw out because you've eaten it all so that you're ready for the Pesach. Don't make it ultra difficult like the Jewish community do. Get around now and they had leavening on the plates. So every year you're breaking plates and throwing out. Y'all didn't tell you break up no plates and throw out plates and stuff like that. These are stupid ass traditions of men. Did you hear me? Just break the plate. What, you don't never wash your plates? If you wash the plate, you don't wash the leaven off the plate. What the hell is the matter with you? Breaking up plates. Show it to me in the book. Because you ate leaven off of that all year. You all are not that super strict. Go ahead. You all are the ones that conjured up the idea of putting a pig's heart in a man. Now let me see if I got this straight. Yahweh said in his word, touch not, taste not, handle not the unclean thing. Now you the chosen one. You the chosen Jewish doctor, or whatever you say you are. But now you got to take this pig heart, this unclean piece of meat, take it out and put it in your unclean little buddy who's willing to be a science experiment, a lab rat, and run around with a pig heart in him. Come on, that just don't even fit logic of Yahweh's word. Yisrael, some of the stuff that they even want to do to you in society, doctors, officers, certain exams and things. Some of this stuff, you don't find the fathers of old having to go through that, okay? Abraham, Sarah, I'll be right back, baby. Oh, where you going, Abe? I'm going to run down here, and I'm going to let them do this EKG on me real quick. They're going to do this stress test. Now, they get you in the office, put you on a treadmill, and make you run like a horse. Well, you ain't run like a horse in the last 40 years. Now, to prove you okay, they're going to make you run like a horse, stress you out to see if you can handle the stress. And ain't but one or two ways to figure out whether you can handle the test or not. You either pass it or you fall out. Boop, he died. Damn, he couldn't take it. Now tell me I'm lying. So you could have kept on living had you not went down there and volunteered to stress yourself out. I know brothers like, he went and took the stress that they ran him on these machines. He died. My sister, she could tell you this. She had a little white mouse, little mouse named Jerry. And a cat. I forget the name of the cat. I hope the cat wasn't named Tom. But I think the cat was named Dee Dee. But anyway, Jerry had this little treadmill in the middle of the cage. And Dee Dee was trying to get him. She tormented him. She could stick her arm in the cage and reach around at the mouse. He was smart enough to realize that if her arm was in this side of the cage, then I got to run over here. Time she get her arm out, go in and reach on this side, he knew, well, let me go over here. So he stayed safe. But he died. Heart attack. Because when she would dig in there, he would get on the treadmill and run, trying to get away from her. He stressed his little self out. And he died. It was a sad day in our house. This is true. I was young, but it was sad. Because he was a pretty little all-white mouse. Stressed out. So these are things that Yisrael is doing to prove to these people that we can fit in. You have the greatest health care plan in the world. It is Yahweh's commandments. He said, keep my commandments, and the commandments shall be health unto thy neighbor. There you have. Now, I ain't saying sit around and eat a bunch of donuts now and kill yourself. I'm not saying that now. But it's just, let's be real, okay? As we were talking on last evening, it is true. We all got this one habit that none of us have been able to kick. It's called eating. I kind of like eating. Hey, some days it's kind of fun. Hey, other days it's a major delight, but every day of my life I've come to realize I need this. You like to eat. But then when it's time to fast, we don't know the nutritional value that Yahweh in the heavens placed upon even fasting. You see, that's how a lot of times people, we be so obese. Damn, I'm not fasting. Stand up. Not only can we not see our stuff when we look straight down, but we can't see the floor that's about 3 feet in front of us. And I'm not mocking us. I'm just being real that this is how we've been taught to live in this society. The Passover will change your diet, your bowel movements. You will notice that first. It will literally be a cleansing process as well as a spiritual cleansing. Keep in mind the significance of the unleavened bread. Keep it in mind. I don't need to really go over an entire listing to show you every little thing you need. Look some of that stuff up and just realize, all right, well, we ain't eat that. No, I can't get that lemon pie this week. Or I ain't going after that cake, this, that, no. It's 1 week. Your basic meats, fruits, and vegetables are the basics of your diet for 7 days. But yet, he used the word feast. So you can eat and rejoice in knowing what the Pesach is. Final closing note. The first 3 days of the Passover and going into the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the first 3 days of unleavened bread, if you know your history well enough, it's kind of sad. It really is sad. Because here they had come to a moment of full-scale self-doubt. Because wait a minute. Yahshua was so loving. He was so kind. Our leader, he was so charismatic. He did so many wonderful things. I can't believe he's dead. Now, This is the beauty of life. It didn't bother nobody's appetite enough that they did not eat. They were eating. He came in, scripture say he caught them, they were at meat, right? They sitting down eating. Hey, the beauty of Yahweh and his word, his mercy. Yahshua himself even came in. You got any meat? What you got? Give me something. A spirit don't eat. So he came and he sat down with him and he ate. But we get around and forget the beauty of this. I got one scripture and a couple notes to go over. So now at sunset on March the 16th, right around sunset, make sure the sun has left. You can begin a little quiet Passover meal at your home. You can have a meal in the privacy of your own home. After your meal and your prayer and remembrance of Yahshua, you can politely wash one another's feet as a reminder of his own humility to touch feet. We ain't thinking about feet in the construct of the 20th century. Oh, your feet stink. That's because you're wearing shoes. A lot of times they take genuine leather. A pig ain't leather, okay? They make tent shoes out of pig skin and all that. So then that smell stays on you, whatever. You're getting beyond that. This is the humility of bowing down before one another enough to wash each other's feet. They went out after it was all over with. They sang a hymn and went on out to the Mount of Olives. Later that night, as sad as it was, here comes the betrayer with the man. He brought the man to come in there to get him and hanged him. This is what it was. So then you have that whole day on the 17th to make certain that any leavening and any items, anything in there, all that stuff has to be gone out in the trash, up off of your literal box housing premises. It has to be gone. Because at sunset of that day, which is the 14th day, now when the sun sets, you're going into the 15th night. That night starts the feast of unleavened bread. A lot of people, they realize, look at me, well, at the feast of Passover, do I eat unleavened bread at the feast of Passover? Then I stop and go back and eat my leavening again? Well, really, you're spending the day cleaning that house out anyway. So why is your mind locked on that? Am I making sense? A lot of times, people don't even know what to eat. You mean tell me a peach is leavening? An apple is leavening? You don't know that if you're cleansing your house, your desire for it's so weak. If your desire and craving is that wrong, you are a junkie. You are an addict, okay? They're the only ones that can't function without their drugs or their narcotics or what have you. So now if this food and this so-called American diet or where we are in the world is that horrendous to us, you can't make it without it for 7 days, you need to check yourself. All right? So then the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that first great day is the 18th. The day side is a high day. And then the last great day, the night side of the 23rd, it's the incoming, the 24th. The day side is a high Shabbat. We'll run our services, we'll preach and teach, we'll have something going every night that week and talk. Some will preach and teach, some will sit down with dialogue, questions and answers, whatever we have to do to get it across and to make it understood and enjoyable to Yahweh's people. In closing, let's go back real quick and let's deal with where all this began. Because if people don't know the point of origin of a thing, then when they do it, they'll do it begrudgingly because they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. I know a man and a woman. They had messed up. Some kind of bad. They had messed up. But as a loving couple, keep one thing in mind. Neither of them ever left the other one. They did not abandon one another. And Abba Yahweh did not abandon them. But listen to what he said, going all the way back, when there wasn't a whole bunch of people in the earth. Then the merciful Elohim, Tab, lover of men, looked upon Adam and Hawa, and upon their blood, which they held up as an offering unto him, without an order from him to do so. But he wondered at them, and accepted their offering. And Elohim sent from his presence a bright fire that consumed their offering. He smelt the sweet savor of their offering, and showed them Hasid. Then came, all capitals here, the word of Yahweh to Adam, and said unto him, stop, real quick. There's no way a book or a scroll walked up to this man and said something. I got plenty of books in my library, and the day one of them jump off the shelf and start talking to me, you all gonna know it, okay? I'm gonna put that on social media. Look at this book. Listen to what this book said. Anyway, then came the word of Yahweh to Adam and said unto him, O Adam, as thou hast shed thy blood, so will I shed mine own blood when I become flesh of your seed. And as you did die, O Adam, so will I also die. And as thou didst build an altar, so also will I make for you an altar on the earth. And as thou didst offer thy blood upon it, so also will I offer my blood upon an altar on the earth. And as you did sue for forgiveness through that blood, so also will I make my blood forgiveness of sin. I will make and blot out, transgressions in it. Think about that. In Yahshua's blood, in that, he will blot out transgressions. And that's serious, man. That's some serious blood. And now, behold, I have accepted your offering, Adam, but the days of the covenant wherein I have bound you are not fulfilled. When they are fulfilled, then I will bring you again back into my God. He set the tone for the Passover. He set the tone for it, for his own bloodshed. It goes all the way back to the beginning. How you going to get around it? Aren't you so glad that Yahweh, being all wise and all knowing, decided the fate of the world before the world really even got established? You can't throw that back in his face. He thought us all through. He said it was in his mind to form you as a nation before he laid the foundations of the world. He loved every one of you. Return the kindness. Obey him. It's not that hard. Make any sense? Well, suppose I go on for another 2 hours. That help y'all understand it more? You ready? What do you think? Just checking. Everybody just fold. Y'all at home, y'all had to see their faces. Everybody just fold. They were like, they want to say, well, yeah, go ahead, Elder. Read deep down inside, they be like, come on, man, I smell it. The sweet savor. So, yes, right, y'all. We don't accept the Jewish calendar. We don't go along with none of the things they do. Yahweh hung a calendar. He hung it in the heavens. And if you know what you're looking at, you know how to read that calendar. And if you know how to read it and you watch the seasons, you know how all these things change, you give Yahweh all the honor and the glory and the praise that is due unto his name and unto the name of his son, Yahshua HaMashiach. And if we never ever talk to one another ever again in life, live your lives so that when he does that roll call, you'll get up and see each other and Kedushams that you never ever even imagined. That's the goal of Yisrael. Happy Shabbat to you all. Talk to you on the first great day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Hallelujah. Happy Sabbath, Yisrael.